This feudal lord is highly scientific. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 251 Partiality. Rules of the Nobles' Deliberations. Everyone, the result of our discussion is out. The eldest prince stood at the head and said to everyone with a smile. If Lin Ke hadn't known that the eldest prince's smile and friendliness came from looking down on others, Lin Ke would probably be confused by that smile. This noble evaluation will be held by the Kingdom of Gila, and the location will be a certain plane. The evaluation content will be combat power, dominance, defense power and many other aspects. We will make a ranking list and rank you. The eldest prince's voice echoed clearly throughout the hall, and everyone else was silent and listened quietly. Sure enough, this noble evaluation is just as he thought, not just the matter of the Gila family, but a grand event for the entire continent. Lin Ke had guessed it in his heart, so he was not surprised, but he still felt a little amused by the ranking list. This ranking list is completely copied from the Great Wasteland City. In the Great Wasteland, there are rankings for chess competitions, as well as the arena and the big library. It seems that the announcement of those rankings in the newspaper has indeed attracted a certain amount of attention. And according to the ranking, we will also set up rewards. The rewards will be jointly funded by the 23 forces of Nassam. I will announce the specific rewards in the deep blue newspaper. The eldest prince continued. The date is set in 5 days. The upper limit of the number of people allowed to enter is 2,128. Speaking of 1,000 people, everyone here had different degrees of reaction. The Minotaurs were confused, the mermaids were angry, Lin Ke was puzzled, the Rat Master was helpless, the Star Prince frowned, the members of the Everfrizz Council were indifferent, and the eldest prince was jealous. The Minotaurs were confused, because the news they had received before was clearly no more than 50 people, but they didn't say much when they saw the helplessness of the Rat Master. It was clearly not discussed before. The mermaids were angry, and the handsome mermaid from the Star Reef who led the group accused loudly. Ha! The eldest prince narrowed his eyes, and a murderous look flashed in his eyes. How dare you! The Star Prince suddenly shouted coldly, and the mermaid's body flew backwards, with blood flowing from his mouth. Prince Xingqian looked at his fellow tribesman with an indifferent expression. This is the decision of Emperor Wumian. I have no objection. Do you have any objection? The mermaid vomited blood, but could not speak. The laws around his body were shaking, and it was obvious that he had suffered internal injuries. Your Highness Prince of Light, please continue. Prince Xingqian nodded indifferently to the eldest prince. No need to do that. The eldest prince responded with a smile, and then continued. Weapons with power exceeding legendary power are not allowed to be brought in, and beings above the starlight level are not allowed to join. This is the final rule. After what happened between Prince Xingqian and the mermaid just now, the others no longer had any doubts. It was decided by Emperor Wumian, so it was normal. They can decide whatever they want, and the upper echelons will naturally play the game. How can they, the chess pieces participating in the competition, have so many opinions? How dare they have so many opinions? Okay, everyone, please do as you please. Count Lin Ke and Viscount Azan stay for a while. The eldest prince waved to the others with a gentle expression, and then looked at Lin Ke. So the others filed out, leaving Lin Ke, the eldest prince and Garros in the hall. At this time, Lin Ke asked with a complicated look, 2,128 people, why? Lin Ke couldn't help but feel complicated, because his knights had 1,000 people, and the followers added up to 14 people. But the people that the prince just mentioned refers to intelligent life. Adding the mounts, Lin Ke's team adds up to exactly 2,028 people. This number is too accurate. There is only an error of 100 people. Lin Ke knew at once that it must be that the Emperor Wumian began to favor and protect his shortcomings. Because you will be my brother-in-law in the future. The prince's expression became more complicated. My Gila nobles will remain the same, and other forces can make arrangements in advance. We haven't spread any news, so we have some preferential treatment. Lin Ke is the person his most beloved sister likes, and Lin Ke is also the one who ruined his calculations. If he had won the lava swamp war of monsters more than 10 years ago, the feedback he could get would be enough to make his regent go one step further. No need to elaborate on the details. It will be published in the Deep Blue newspaper. The eldest prince, Trang, waved his hand. In addition, my father's black and white knights will have 25 black knights and white knights to assist you, and you will have 3 chances to command them. Black and white knights. 25 black and white knights, plus mounts, a total of 100. Lin Ke's eyes almost widened. That's the black and white knights. The lowest level of professional is 10, and the highest is even legendary. Emperor Wu Mian led the black and white knights to charge, and no one or any force in the entire nation could stop them. And because of the special profession of the black and white knights, they can burst out more powerful power after they are combined. Explosive power, endurance, attack power, defense power. In all indicators, the black and white knights are top notch. As for our grudges, I'll wait until you become a legend. The eldest prince took a last look at Lin Ke, then at Garros, and then his body flashed and turned into a white light and rushed out of the palace. Lin Ke and Garros looked at each other. It seems that His Majesty Wu Mian likes my son very much. Haha, haha, hey, ha ha ha. Garros patted Lin Ke on the shoulder, looking very happy. His son is so capable, so of course the father is very happy. Lin Ke just smiled. Emperor Wu Mian is really a good father-in-law. The mother-in-law feels good too, but the brother-in-law and the moon goddess are a bit difficult to deal with. Then let's go, father. Lin Ke and Garros walked outside together. Lin Ke didn't show up either, probably at Wu Mian's place. They need to prepare. Since Wu Mian has given them the opportunity, they have to make good arrangements and train their troops well. Somewhere on the 95th floor of the abyss, the Rat Lord led the Minotaurs to the King's Inn, then waved his hand to set up a secret code barrier, and said to the 4 main Minotaurs, "You must not provoke Earl Lin Ke this time." Earl Lin Ke? That level 10 knight. The leading Minotaur said in a muffled voice, "I can chop him with one axe." Me too. Chris is invincible. My strength is unparalleled. The other Minotaurs also roared. Looking at the stupid big guys in front of him, the Rat Lord couldn't help but hold his forehead, his expression even more helpless. If you find that you can't defeat them, remember to surrender early, and if you really can't, just become his vassal for the time being. Impossible. The Minotaurs will never surrender. Who dares to say he is invincible? Who is saying? The Minotaurs began to roar, and then the Rat Lord said faintly, "There are 50 black and white knights in his team." Then, the Minotaurs' roars stopped abruptly, and they stood there like statues. Chapter 252. News from the Minotaur Alliance. Lin Ke and his group came back, and Lin Ke came back a little later. My father did a great job this time. Lin Ke came back excitedly, closed the door, and started to get excited. Let me tell you, Lin Ke, at that time I said, "Why 50 people?" And then the Prince of Stars was dissatisfied, and then my father got angry. The rules of the entire hall were broken, and the Prince of Stars was crushed to the point that he was not even as good as Xinghu. Lin Ke listened to Lin Ke quietly and smiled. After Lin Ke finished speaking, Lin Ke suddenly grabbed Lin Ke's hand and hugged Lin Ke into his arms. The room suddenly became so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. "Thank you, Lin Ke." Lin Ke gently stroked Lin Ke's hair. Lin Ke lay stiffly in Lin Ke's arms, and her body relaxed after hearing this. "What are you talking about, Lin Ke?" Lin Ke raised her head, looking at Lin Ke with her clear and lovely green eyes, then slowly approached Lin Ke and gently touched Lin Ke's mouth with her tender red lips. "It tastes really good." Lin Ke's body stiffened at first, and then he kissed her fiercely. Lin Ke's pupils trembled, and Lin Ke began to enjoy the feeling of kissing. Lin Ke is already 18 years old. I don't know if it's hormones or something else. He is enjoying this feeling now. After a long time, the lips parted. "What are you doing?" Lin Ke didn't dare to look at Lin Ke at this time. Her eyelids drooped, and her face was red. "Thank you, Lin Ke, really?" Lin Ke said seriously. If it weren't for Lin Ke, Lin Ke would probably be valued like Garros at most, and would never reach the level of favoritism of the Sleepless Emperor. And Lin Ke also made efforts in it. The most important thing is that Lin Ke might feel that Lin Ke wants to take care of his self-esteem, so he will deliberately pretend to be innocent and romantic and remind him of everything big and small inadvertently. Alright, go be your bard. Lin Ke pushed him. Lin Ke scratched his head, chuckled twice, then transformed into bard. Buck walked out of the hotel with a guitar. He was going to the Flame Tavern today to get information from the Minotaur Baruto. He originally had a plan to investigate the Holy Life Alliance, and now that he knew some information, he had to go. The Minotaur tribe was the race responsible for the Holy Life Alliance in this noble deliberation, and they must have a certain control over the news of the Holy Life Alliance. He wanted to find out which branch of wild boars participated in this noble deliberation, and whether there was a profession called shaman. Lin Ke transformed into bard Buck and walked straight to the Flame Tavern on this floor. When he arrived at the tavern, business was not very good. After all, it was not yet evening. Boss, malt liquor. Lin Ke threw a silver coin over. 10 cups first. I'll drink slowly. The boss chuckled twice, took the silver coin, poured a glass of wine first, and handed it over. The boss knew that this kind of people usually came to inquire about information, but as long as he could make money, he didn't care so much. Lin Ke drank one cup after another, exuding a faint professional aura in his body to deter thieves, pickpockets or drunkards who wanted to make trouble in the tavern. There was gradually noise in his ears, but Lin Ke didn't care and continued to drink. Not long after, Lin Ke looked back and saw 2 tall Minotaurs walking towards the Flame Tavern. Minotaur. Today's Minotaur leader, and the Minotaur Baruto who met in the Scarlet Wasteland yesterday. Lin Ke smiled, stood up, came to the corner of the stairs, deliberately showed a side face to the 2 Minotaurs, and then went upstairs. Of course, the 2 Minotaurs saw it. They pushed aside the people who were blocking their way. The aura of the professionals made others dare not move or shout. The boss saw that the 2 Minotaurs were going to find Lin Ke, so he did not stop them. The 2 Minotaurs came up and saw the room corresponding to the stairwell. The bard, Buck, was standing by the bed, looking out the window. The 2 Minotaurs looked at each other and walked in. Pop. As soon as they entered, the door was closed, as if blown by the wind. You want to form an alliance with me? Lin Ke's voice was melancholy and sad. So direct. The Minotaur leader was stunned for a moment, then nodded and replied, yes. May I ask which noble of the Gira kingdom you are under? Lin Ke turned around and pointed to the bed that had not been moved. Sit down. Then Lin Ke waved his hand, and a layer of air pressure shield as thin as a cicada's wing instantly covered the entire room and began to tremble slightly, emitting extremely weak sound waves to offset the sound in the room. As the level deepened, Lin Ke became more adept at controlling and changing skills. Now, all sounds cannot be heard, so we can communicate without worry. I need information about all the wild boar tribes in your Holy Life Alliance. Lin Ke said lightly. All the information? The Minotaur leader glared with his eyes as big as copper bells. You want me to betray my tribe? As he said that, the Minotaur leader slapped the Minotaur Baruto next to him on the back of his head. Is this the ally you mentioned? Baruto didn't react much when the Minotaur slapped him on the back of his head, but he was a little stunned. Aren't you a rich man? A rich noble? Didn't you say to form an alliance? Simple Baruto. Lin Ke smiled and had a good impression of this Minotaur. It is indeed an alliance, but the alliance requires the exchange of information, right? But why should we tell you? Baruto was also a little angry. The wild boar tribe is one of our main members. Main members? Exclamation mark. Lin Ke's eyes flashed, and the Minotaur leader slapped Baruto again. What are you talking about? The Minotaur leader looked at Lin Ke, and his aura became dangerous. What a pity. I thought the top humans in the Scarlet Wilderness could cooperate. He walked over slowly, and his magic power gradually surged. A level 17 strong man. The Minotaur's plan was simple. How could such a person who maliciously pleaded for information become an ally? As the leader this time, he was forced to jump from the first level of the abyss. Even if he starved to death, he would. One of the nobles behind me is Count Lin Ke. Lin Ke sat elegantly on the chair and said without blushing, as if Count Lin Ke was some big shot. But the Minotaur leader did stop. He looked at Lin Ke and said hesitantly, You know His Highness Lin Ke. We are like brothers. Lin Ke smiled. I want to investigate the wild boar people, and it is also related to Count Lin Ke. As he said this, he carefully observed the expressions of the two minotaurs, but the expressions of the two minotaurs hardly changed, and they did not show any nervousness. Okay, since it is related to Count Lin Ke, then let's form an alliance. In addition, we do have a shaman in our team. Chapter 253, Alliance with the Minotaur. The Tauran leader thought about it, and finally sat back down. The poor dirty and smelly wooden bed creaked, and finally collapsed under the weight. But the Tauran were still sitting, and did not stand up. Although we all fought in the name of the alliance, in fact, each tribe fought on its own. The Tauran leader sat there, and a trace of disdain flashed in his copper bell-like bull eyes. Unlike you humans, you are the leader of all. The tone was a little sour. In fact, I'm not the leader. Lin Ke answered silently in his heart. Of course, although it is said so. But as the most famous noble, if he wants to, he can still call on most of the nobles in the noble review. So, do you know any legendary shamans? Lin Ke looked at the Tauran and clenched his palms. They are those who have survived from ancient times to the present. Legendary? The Tauran leader frowned. I have lived for more than 300 years, but I have never heard of a legendary shaman. This profession is too old. All shamans now work part-time. Just like magicians, some scholars work part-time as magicians in order to study elemental magic secrets, or ancient history. Part-time. Lin Ke was stunned. He suddenly thought of a blind spot. The great boar shaman was wearing a hood, his face was blurred, and the tools in his hands seemed to be disposable. For example, the baby skull that cursed him, the fat that absorbed lightning, and the staff. Cover up. This great boar shaman is probably not a shaman, but a strong man of other professions. Shaman is just a part-time job. He was obsessed with finding a shaman before, so he might as well look for a legend among the boars. After all, legends are usually well known throughout the continent. If we narrow it down to a group like the wild boars, it should be easy to screen and discover. After all, no matter what profession you are in, you can't avoid communicating with others to get feedback, whether it's academic or military communication. How many legends are there in the wild boar tribe now? Lin Ke asked. 2. The leader of the Tauran said firmly, at least in the Holy Life Alliance, there are only 2 known so far. In order to form an alliance with Count Lin Ke, the leader of the Tauran also fought hard. You know, that's the Black and White Knights. The Tauran tribe was extremely powerful in the past, and they were rampant war machines on the battlefield. Until the invincible Tauran Legion of the Holy Life Alliance, that had survived from the mythological era, was defeated by a charge of the Black and White Knights. The Tauran tribe, or the entire Nathan continent, was terrified of the strength of the Black and White Knights. Later, Emperor Wumian gradually picked those contemporary invincible masters, and he picked them 7 or 8 times. All forces lost their temper. The leader of the Minotaurs at this time was the one who witnessed the photo stone of the charge of the Black and White Knights. Naturally, he knew what it meant for 50 Black and White Knights to join Earl Lin Ke's team. Basically invincible. Therefore, for the reward of some noble's evaluation, the leader of the Minotaurs decided to form an alliance with Earl Lin Ke. In fact, it would not be Earl Lin Ke, but other humans, because it is clear that humans are stronger. Only 2? Lin Ke frowned. It is unlikely that these 2 are the famous ones. It seems that we still need to ask those ancients. Lin Ke thought about it, and was afraid that he would have to trouble the Emperor Wumian. Although the Emperor Wumian was busy, Lin Ke couldn't bring himself to do it. But in order to find out the mastermind behind the scenes and to avenge Orth, he couldn't care less. Any other questions, Lord Buck? The leader of the Minotaurs asked, looking at Lin Ke. Well, that's about it. Lin Ke nodded slightly, thought about it, took out a piece of top quality ASIN paper from the space ring, and then took out a level 13 magic pen. Seeing this blue plush tiger tail pen, Lin Ke closed his eyes, feeling some real sadness. This pen was a birthday gift that Orth prepared for him when he was 6 years old. It was the first magic gift he received. One of the main materials was half of the tiger tail of the dark blue giant tiger he met at the beginning, and that dark blue giant tiger was actually driven away by Butler Billy. Now, after years of use, this pen has transformed into a 13th level magic item. but orphan butler Billy, two close people, are dead. But in a moment, Lin Ke recovered and held the pen tightly. Butler Billy's soul is kept by the dark girl, and Lin Ke will go to get it back after the noble's deliberation. And Mr. Off's true spirit is also well preserved, waiting for one day in the future, when he will resurrect Off from the moon goddess. Take this paper to find Earl Lin Ke. He will form an alliance with you. Lin Ke quickly wrote down the two Chinese characters Buck, and handed it to the Minotaur. The Minotaurs looked at Buck, and felt that this kind of text was extremely mysterious. It was neither an ancient secret text nor the common language of Nassim. But they would not ask too much. Okay. The Minotaur leader carefully held the expensive and top-grade Azan paper in his hand, and then put it into the space ring. Although the Minotaur tribe is poor, they can still afford the space ring. Happy alliance. Lin Ke smiled. But Buck, maybe there will be a place for use in the future, so why not continue to use him? Happy alliance. The Minotaur leader was not very happy. For the sake of an alliance, he betrayed the news. Although it was not an important news, it was still a bit uncomfortable. But thinking of his Minotaur tribe, he still let out a long breath. Smelling the bad breath coming to his face, Lin Ke couldn't stand it. That's it. Maybe we can see each other again in the Noble's review. After that, Lin Ke put on the optical magic clothes, and turned over, and walked out of the Flame Tavern, leaving two dumbfounded Minotaurs. This is invisible? It must be a precious magic item. The poor Tauran leader envied him. Then he saw the Tauran Baruto next to him drooling, and couldn't help but slap him on the back of his head. Idiot. Let's go. Let's go to the mercenary guild. No, let's go directly to the Scarlet Wasteland to gather some people. There are more than 2,000 people, and we only have 50. Baruto is too stupid. He should hit his head more, so that he can be smart. The Tauran leader looked at the silly Baruto, and felt unbearable, always wanting to hit him. You know, he was also hit by his grandmother, since he was a child. Otherwise he wouldn't be so wise now. 2,000 people. The Tauran Baruto widened his eyes. How much does that cost? The Scarlet Wasteland is very expensive. Our tribe can't afford it. Baruto is actually the chief of a Tauran tribe. But the Scarlet Wilds have more manpower. The Minotaur leader slapped him again. Think about it. There are more than 200 forces. We can make back our investment, as long as we take down the first 100. The first 10 will make a lot of money, if we take down the 5th. Hiss. The Minotaur leader took a breath of cold air. Then we can even eat 10 rye breads a day. No, maybe 20. The Minotaur Baruto was shocked. What if we take the first place? Then we can even eat 100 rye breads a day. The Minotaur leader almost shed tears. Okay, I'll go and gather the other chiefs. Chapter 254. Ancient Secrets. The God of the Radman. Lin Ke came back and explained the situation to Lin Ke. Let's go and ask now. Lin Ke came up to Lin Ke and left, as if returning to the palace was like returning to his own home. Although it was true, Lin Ke also knew that time was running out, so he followed closely. This time, Garros didn't follow him. He just asked a question, so there was no need to go with him in a big way. Garros was consolidating the confrontation that had taken place in the palace before. You know, that kind of will confrontation is the best tempering, especially for a profession like knight. The effect of the will charge is better than the mindless charge of the flesh, and even his level 15 bottleneck has loosened a little. Throw the artifact fragment to Garros, and then go to the palace with Lin Ke. Emperor Wumian is at the 5-colored dragon mother tonight. This is a magnificent palace, and the 5-colored dragon mother and Emperor Wumian are swallowing and spitting out element in the void. A huge amount of magic power rolled in like waves, and then turned into small elemental torrents, which were sucked into the mouths of the two people in the middle. At their level, they need a huge amount of magic power to maintain their physical bodies. It is estimated that even the meat in the entire land of Azan is not enough for them to eat in one day. It is estimated that only eating legendary meat can do it. Father, mother. Lin Ke jumped in. The guards of the palace sensed Lin Ke's breath and let her go. Wumian and the 5-colored dragon mother had already sensed the arrival of Lin Ke and Lin Ke, and even sensed it as soon as they arrived at the bottom. At this time, the two ended their meditation. Wumian looked at Lin Ke lovingly. What's wrong? Lin Ke pounced on him and hung on Wumian's neck. The 5-colored dragon mother glared at Lin Ke. You are so naughty, sit down. Lin Ke listened to the words of the 5-colored dragon mother, and the 5-colored dragon mother looked at Lin Ke with a smile. Little Lin Ke, what's the matter with you this time? Lin Ke was not stage frightened. He knew that these two super strong people were actually very similar to ordinary people in private. Your Majesty Wumian, Her Majesty Dragon Mother, I'm here to consult. Before Lin Ke finished speaking, Wumian raised his eyebrows and said, I already call you son-in-law. You don't call me father-in-law, because you look down on me? As he spoke, the void crack next to Wumian surged with momentum and set off a storm. Father-in-law and mother-in-law. Lin Ke didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He finally understood why Lin Ke was so loved by Wumian. These father and daughter are just made from the same mold. Neither of them is serious. Little Lin Ke, what are you saying? Shut up. The 5-colored dragon mother slapped Wumian on the back, and Wumian immediately laughed. Okay. Wumian looked at Lin Ke, son-in-law, keep talking. Lin Ke was a little helpless, and said, father-in-law and mother-in-law, I came here, mainly to consult about the wild boar shaman. It's not the moon and Talon who did it. Emperor Wumian directly asserted at this time. Have you found other clues? At this point, even Emperor Wumian and the 5-colored dragon mother looked serious. Not the moon goddess. Lin Ke originally had some guesses, and seeing this, he ruled out the suspicion of the moon goddess and the eldest prince telling. So Lin Ke continued, after entering the abyss, I explored everywhere, and someone told me, be careful of the light in the morning. The light in the morning? Emperor Wumian frowned, while the 5-colored dragon mother said directly to Lin Ke, are you talking about the gardener's sister? I don't know, this is just a clue. Lin Ke shook his head, and there was a boarman plane that was also given to the eldest prince by the 5th prince and the 8th prince. Then, Lin Ke said, of course, this is just a possibility. In addition, I came here mainly to ask you two, do you know any legendary boarmen? Maybe this boarman shaman has survived from ancient times and then took on other professions. Wumian and the 5-colored dragon mother looked at each other and thought about it. Lin Ke sat obediently and didn't disturb them. After Wumian and the 5-colored dragon mother exchanged glances for a while, the 5-colored dragon mother couldn't help but say, could it be him? Him? Lin Ke's expression moved. Guessed it? Emperor Wumian was also thinking at this time, frowning, and obviously hesitating. Hesitation. Even an existence like Emperor Wumian would hesitate. The Holy Life Alliance is an ancient and powerful country. Wumian finally spoke slowly. The strongest of the 5 major races, the dragon, the fairy, the phoenix, the life deer and the poisonous mushroom, established this country and called themselves Holy Life. Holy Life Alliance? So they are people from the Holy Life Alliance? Could it be the sun god? Lin Ke began to speculate in his heart. There are no detailed records of history older than the mythological era, but in that era, the 5 rulers of the 5 major holy life races were still famous on the continent. Wumian was talking about some secrets that Lin Ke had never seen in the book. At this time, the 5-colored dragon mother also took over the conversation. However, in the end, the contemporary dragon god of my giant dragon clan died. The parasitic mother of the poisonous mushroom clan disappeared. The horns of the original leaf of the life deer clan were broken, and the soul fairy king of the fairy clan was seriously injured and turned into 3 personalities: the emerald banshee, the earth fairy and the crazy elf. The 5 major holy life races originally had few members, and the various situations of the masters at that time made those members uneasy, because these masters almost had accidents one after another. At this point, the 5-colored dragon mother curled her lips in disdain and said, in the end, only the sun god of the Phoenix clan became the only supreme god of the entire Holy Life Alliance at that time, and he also promoted gods such as the king of human gods, Zernatal, to assist him. Hearing this, Lin Ke roughly understood that the changes of those masters might also be related to the sun god. Although Lin Ke's secret enemy has not been mentioned yet, he is still very happy to know these secrets, so he is concentrating on receiving information from the 5-colored dragon mother. However, for some reason, the number of people in the toxic mushroom clan gradually decreased, and even the entire mushroom people disappeared. My dragon clan also moved to other planes in the Middle Ages, and even I don't know where they went. The 5-colored dragon mother said here, Her face was not very good. The fairy clan is even more dwindling, and most of the bloodlines have degenerated into 3 bloodlines of banshees, enchantresses, and elves. The Lifebeer clan is okay, and in the end only the Phoenix clan is getting stronger and stronger. So, the sun god in the mythological era began to expand and annex tribal races, and many races such as wild boar people and rabbit people were kept in his own plane. Until later, the human race rose because of these turmoil, and even the king of the gods replaced the pillars in ancient times and became the controller of Nassim. Fortunately, it was later broken by Sir Andrew. When the 5-colored dragon mother came to this point, she looked at Lin Ke and said, after the king of the gods, Zernata, dominated Nassim, gods such as the sun god could only be subordinate to him. In the following eras, the sun god annexed the plains that housed various races and gave them to some of his subordinates. We thought of one of the ancients, the god of the Radman, the Dark Seed. He once led a group of wild boars to attack the Everfrozen Council, but it is not clear whether he had the power of a shaman, because it was too long ago. Also, he is the uncle of the Ratman Lord. Chapter 255 Legend Astrologer. So, the real culprit could be the rat people, or even the rat lord or the rat god. Lin Ke frowned, but this is unscientific. I have no conflict of interest with them. No, you do. Emperor Wumian said in a deep voice. 5 months ago, I found a time-space signal. Wumian didn't want to tell Lin Ke at first, but now he thought it would be better to tell Lin Ke. After listening to Wumian's words, Lin Ke's expression became more solemn. What Emperor Wumian wants to say now should be the reason for the change in the nobles' evaluation this time. This time, the nobles' evaluation is different from the past. All forces in the entire Nassim will participate. The evaluation activity of the selection of nobles by the Gira Kingdom has become a grand gathering of the strong men of the Nassim continent. 100 years. Emperor Wumian frowned and said, after 100 years, Nassim will encounter another main plane. Main plane. Lin Ke's face was shocked. Main plane? As the main plane, Nassim is rampant in the star realms of the sky. For countless years, countless gods and legends have gone out to explore the boundless star realm. All planes are only called secondary planes in front of Nassim. However, Nassim actually has opponents. At the beginning, Aofu told him that there are 2 continents on the planet where Nassim is located, namely Q's continent and Feljima continent. It means the continent of beast spirits and the continent of eternal twilight, and Nassim is also called the continent of the void abyss. These 3 continents exist as independent main planes and are extremely powerful. And now, Wumian told him that a new main plane has appeared. The power of Nassim must be unified. Emperor Wumian said in a deep voice, therefore, this noble review is very important. Then, he looked at Lin Ke. My Gira Kingdom has not leaked this news. All the nobles who come to participate in the noble review are random. This is my promise. Correspondingly, the method and location of the noble review will be decided by us. Of course, the number of participants is the same. For this noble review, I will take out an undeveloped secondary plane for all of you to enter. Having said that, Emperor Wumian thought for a moment, and then said, you, just train your soldiers well, and there is no need to fight hard. Treat it as an opportunity for trial. Yes, little Lin Ke. The 5-colored dragon mother smiled and said, over the years, you have put too much burden on yourself. When we were your age, we only knew how to rush. Top 10. Lin Ke felt a pressure in his heart. More than 200 forces. The highest level is set at the starlight level. Wumian walked down slowly, came to Lin Ke's side, and patted Lin Ke on the shoulder. By then, many people will send a large number of high-level professionals in, but you don't have to worry. Train well, your light will shine in the future. Train well. Lin Ke felt the love from the elders and the training of the noble pioneers to the later ones in Emperor Wumian. I'll give you a decree. Wumian thought about it, stretched out his right hand, and a gem gradually condensed from the void in his palm. You go to the 36th floor of the abyss and find a man named Li Guan Mabi. He is a legendary, great forger, and can help you forge a weapons and equipment. Legendary great forger. Lin Ke just didn't have a weapon that suited him, and he had been using some enchanted long swords that he bought. When writing and painting, the dark blue tiger tail pen is enough. He really lacks a weapon. Before Lin Ke could say anything, the 5-colored dragon mother above also came down, and a small piece of colorful prismatic scale appeared in her hand. Astrologer Debius once promised me a divination opportunity, and now I give it to you. Legendary astrologer Debius, the powerful legend who killed the goddess of luck and kept the god of 4 seasons in captivity. It is said that this astrologer can glimpse the direction of the long river of fate to a certain extent, that is, divination. However, this skill consumes a lot of energy, and the astrologer has not divined for anyone for 100 years. Debius is in the forest castle on the 95th floor of the abyss. He has a bad temper, but with my scales, he won't hurt you. Although the 5-colored dragon mother looks like a big and strong rural old woman, she treats Lin Ke very gently, and she feels like Feudal to Lin Ke. The legendary great forger on the 36th floor has Mabi. The legendary astrologer Debius on the 95th floor. Sure enough, big shots no big shots. Wumian and the 5-colored dragon mother introduced 2 people who were all legends. Thank you, father-in-law and mother-in-law. Lin Ke felt a warm current in his heart. Okay, go quickly. Wumian patted Lin Ke on the shoulder again. It doesn't matter if you lose. The main thing is to train the soldiers. I have other arrangements. Other arrangements? Lin Ke couldn't help but think of the fat figure of the tulip earl in his mind. That's it, go. The 5-colored dragon mother also waved to Lin Ke and Liquor. Lin Ke and Liquor immediately left. How about it? Liquor and Lin Ke were walking on the road and chatting. I haven't thought about it. Lin Ke didn't know what he should divination. He has a very clear and definite plan for the future. The only thing he is not sure about now is the black hand behind the scenes, who has malicious intentions towards him. But it always feels a bit unworthy to use this divination opportunity to exchange for a black hand behind the scenes. Liquor naturally knows Lin Ke's character. In his cognition, maximizing benefits is the best for many things, and many things will not be exchanged for much benefits. It's worth it. Liquor and Lin Ke held hands and walked slowly towards the teleportation array. That's your heart, not my Lin Ke. Liquor turned around and looked at Lin Ke. She knew how important AOF was in Lin Ke's heart. Okay. Lin Ke also made up his mind because of Liquor. The death of Mr. AOF was indeed his heart, not. Although the scope of suspects has been narrowed temporarily, it is still impossible to confirm. This time, directly ask the astrologer to find out. After thinking about it, Lin Ke and Liquor stepped into the teleportation array together. Target, the forest castle on the 95th floor. The city on the 95th floor is not big, but the forest area is large. Most of the life belongs to the tree people, and the most powerful and well-known race among them is the conifer tribe, one of the 5 major races of the Everfrest Council. After Lin Ke and Liquor came here, they asked about the location of the forest castle and went there. Who knew that they would encounter a black hole halfway, and sucked him and Liquor in. The 2 of them were dizzy in the black hole. A burst of white light lit up, and Lin Ke couldn't help but cover his eyes. Where is this? The next moment, an extremely cold voice sounded in his ears. You suffered a severe brain injury. Although your parents have passed away, you should have some savings. Please pay for the medical expenses. Chapter 256, The Deepest Fear. Medical expenses? Lin Ke's eyes widened, looking at the angel in white in uniform in front of him. Yes, Mr. Lin. A trace of impatience flashed across the nurse's face. You have a cerebral infarction. You had a cerebral infarction while fishing. It was like you suffered a heavy blow. A fishing friend found you and sent you here. Fishing? Cerebral infarction? Lin Ke recalled it immediately. It seemed to be 18 years ago. He was fishing by the water with his favorite Dahuang brand fishing rod at the time, and who knew that he inexplicably traveled through time and turned from Mr. Lin to Mr. Asnan. Wait, Asnan? Zan. N. What is Asnan? It feels like something very important. Who am I? Lin Ke suddenly hugged his head and felt a burst of severe pain from it, and then fell into a coma again amid the voices of how are you? And doctor. Call a doctor quickly. After 3 months of recuperation, Lin Ke finally survived the cerebral infarction. He only felt that he seemed to have forgotten something important, but life always has to look forward. His parents died at some point, and he had no relatives in the world, only a few roommates. After graduating with a doctorate, the company gave him long vacation to recuperate after he fell ill. However, he resolutely quit his job and joined the top domestic thermal physics research laboratory. While contributing to the country's shortcomings in science, he also worked hard to explore the boundlessness of truth. For some reason, he was very good at thermodynamics, and it seemed that he could control the conversion of entropy with his own hands in his dreams. So, he went from a doctor to an associate professor, then a professor, and even a member of the academy. However, life gradually overwhelmed him. When he was young, he had to pay off mortgages, car loans, food, clothing, housing, transportation, eating, drinking, and defecating. Playing games was a rare form of entertainment, and reading novels could only relieve a little emptiness. After entering middle age, he gained both fame and fortune, with the most extensive network of people, the most powerful scientific research institutes, and the richest wealth. He seemed to have obtained everything. However, he always had a sense of unreality. Lin Ke felt that the life he wanted was not like this. It was not to explore the truth in a muddle-headed way, nor to rush into the world for fame and fortune. It was not to be drunk and drunk. No, the life he was familiar with was not like this. He even tried to be an actor, a singer, a writer, a factory owner, a county magistrate. But he always felt that it was a little bit lacking. So, the famous mathematician, physicist, chemist, biologist and social economist, Lin Ke, launched a fierce attack on the known problems in the world. The operation of economy and capital, biological gene exploration engineering, outside the periodic table, thermal physics, nuclear physics, optical physics, electrical physics. In the end, the ultimate problem of mathematics. Lin Ke, a scholar who shocked the world, actually packed up all the problems easily and finally left a bunch of mathematical problems. NP-complete problems, Hodge conjecture, Poincare conjecture, Riemann hypothesis, Yang-Mills existence and mass gap, Navier-Stokes equation, BSD conjecture. The 7 major mathematical problems in the world are also the 8 most shining pearls in the crown of modern mathematics. In Lin Ke's feelings, these 8 problems are extremely difficult. Rather than being pearls, they are like mountains, which make any mathematician feel overwhelmed after seeing them. So, Lin Ke specially chose a day to relax and went to many places, such as amusement parks, internet cafes, gymnasiums, fishing grounds, zoos. But he couldn't relax at all. Only when he was riding a horse at the race course, he felt the happiest. He could feel that he should live on horseback, not in a red flag car or a stretched Lincoln that others drove to pick him up. He even spent a lot of money to buy the most majestic horse, but it was not as interesting to ride. After preparing everything, he finally started to solve those difficult math problems. In the empty library, Lin Ke took a thick stack of paper and came to the table. 7 difficult problems. The grey-haired and old Lin Ke didn't know which one he should choose as the starting point. All the judgment problems that are solvable in non-deterministic polynomial time constitute NP-type problems. Conjectures about the relationship between the algebraic topology of non-singular complex algebraic clusters and the geometry described by the polynomial equations that define their subclusters. Any simply connected, closed 3-dimensional manifold must be homeomorphic to a 3-dimensional sphere. One problem after another fell from Lin Ke's pen and was recorded on the white A4 paper. Mathematics is the foundation of science. The reason why Lin Ke can solve so many difficult problems is mostly because of his extremely strong mathematical foundation. At this time, he wanted to choose an inspiring one to solve. But he didn't notice that as he wrote those difficult problems on paper one by one, the world was shaking. In his feeling, the world became more real. Yes, it seems that the meaning of my life is not to win those 40 or 50 Nobel Prizes, but to solve these difficult problems. Lin Ke felt more and more that solving these difficult problems was his lifelong pursuit. However, when he wrote the famous Riemann hypothesis, the pen suddenly stopped. Riemann hypothesis. Riemann hypothesis. Lin Ke suddenly felt a sense of familiarity coming from deep in his heart. It seemed, at one point, he had used the Riemann hypothesis to solve a terrifying enemy. Terrifying? But he is the current god of science in the world. Who can be terrifying to him? However, Lin Ke suddenly put down his pen. Suddenly, he looked up at the emblem of a country not far away. On the red pattern, the sickle and hammer shone brightly. Red, 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 red. His pupils were suddenly occupied by the red color, and a faint red light burst out of his eyes. His lips opened and closed involuntarily, and finally 2 words came out, like a huge bell. People. As soon as the 2 words came out, the library shattered like a lens. What is this? What is that? A scream came. Stop. Stop thinking about those things. Stop. Stop. The red color in Lin Ke's eyes faded, and the world spun. This is a wooden house. He is Lin Ke. He is. Link as in I. Link didn't know what he had just experienced, but the feeling of 100 years in a flash was so real. But now, he, Link, is back. It turns out that everything just now was just a dream. Count Link, what on earth is in your mind? Not far away, a pointed old man with bloodshot eyes and dry white hair was like a handful of weeds. The old man sat on a rocking chair made by Azan, holding a dark crystal ball in his hand. There was a little light on the crystal ball, just like the starry sky. However, there were 8 terrifying cracks in this starry sky. You are the legendary astrologer Debius. Where is Lin Ke? Link reacted in an instant. The legendary astrologer Debius crocheted an environment and immersed him in it. Count Link, don't worry. Debius touched the crystal ball from top to bottom, and a figure suddenly flew out of it and gradually grew larger. It was Lin Ke. Lin Ke still had her eyes closed and her brows furrowed. Lin Ke knew immediately that Lin Ke had fallen into the illusion just like him. It is actually good to experience that kind of environment. For example, Lin Ke discovered through that illusion that everything he liked in his past life was just like a phantom. He had spent 6 years forgetting everything, fearing that he would miss it too much and become ill. But now, he found out. Going back to the past was his deepest fear. Fear of loss. Fear of returning. He had concerns and ties here. He liked the feeling of charging on the battlefield, the feeling of being followed to death by followers, and he liked all the extraordinary things here. If he went back to his past life, he would be tired from traveling and weak, and could only indulge in the internet and electronic products. He didn't want to be so boring. Therefore, what this astrologer Debius did was obviously to help him see his true nature. He never knew what he was afraid of. Fear of a strong man like the Insomnia Emperor. Fear of sudden crises, such as the death of Orth. Fear that Nassen's resources will be exhausted, like in the previous life. But after this time, he realized that his deepest fear was actually in the previous life. He was afraid. He was afraid that when he woke up, a white coat would tell him that everything in Nassen was just a dream. He was afraid that everything was just a phantom. He was afraid that he would return to the muddle-hated life of the past without knowing the beginning and the end. This was Lin Ke's deepest fear. Little guy, are the nobles now thinking about such profound questions? Debius knocked his head and touched the crystal ball in his hand with heartache. There were 8 cracks on the crystal ball. My planet was only injured once by the little girl Wu Se, and it was injured 7 times by you. The 7 major problems in mathematics. Lin Ke was a little embarrassed. In the previous false voice, he actually didn't experience anything, and there was a sense of unreality. In his imagination, even if he was the only and most powerful scientist in his previous life, and was worshipped as the god of science, but he still felt very empty. After all, in Nassing, many gods are not powerful. Even the 4 Seasons god, who has been assimilated by the rules and priesthood, can only become a tool. And at the last moment of the dream, it was those mathematical problems that brought him back to reality. Debius only checked on him twice in total. The first time was when he was riding a horse, which stabilized the dream and made him forget that he was a knight. The second time was when he started to do the questions. It was because of Debius's inspection that he found that incredible thing. After reading those questions of yours, my soul space is not stable. You wait here for Lin Ke to wake up. As he said, Debius picked up his fortune-telling star with heartache, opened a portal to his own plane, and stepped in. At this time, Lin Ke woke up slowly, with tears in the corners of her eyes. When she saw Lin Ke, she hugged him. As soon as she saw him, Lin Ke, Lin Ke, Lin Ke. Lin Ke hugged Lin Ke and cried bitterly, crying like a pear blossom in the rain, dead, all dead. It's all a dream. Lin Ke hugged Lin Ke and patted Lin Ke's back. After a while, Lin Ke recovered, and then sobbed, and told her dream. In the dream, she met Lin Ke, but after the war of monsters in the lava swamp, Lin Ke did not wake up, after sleeping for 2 years, but died directly in the process. After that, Lin Ke's life returned to the life of the noble tree herding princess. Eating boring red dragon sirloin ribs, bickering with the mist princess, listening to the meaningless conversations of the nobles at the juice bar, tasting the ice fruit bread by the goddess of ice and snow. Life, passing the years like days. She didn't need to go out, to fight in the secondary plane, didn't need to deal with the nobles socializing, and didn't need to make money. She just needed to be her princess. Life was luxurious and free, but also boring and lonely. Until the nobles' deliberation came, another main plane invaded in large numbers, and countless nobles died. Her eldest brother died in the battle, her eldest sister died in the battle, her brothers and sisters died in the battle, the moon goddess died in the battle, her mother died in the battle. In the end, the Nasan continent was shattered by the sleepless emperor who went all out. In a grand explosion, Lin Ke saw the explosion of the planet and the scene where Emperor Wumian and 10 powerful men on the opposite side perished together. She woke up. Dream. It was all a dream. Lin Ke patted Lin Ke's back gently. Look, I'm fine, right? His Majesty Wumian and the 5-colored dragon mother are also extremely powerful. Nothing will happen. No, Lin Ke, that was a dream that the astrologer gave us. Lin Ke sobbed. That is something that may happen in the future. I have glimpsed a corner of fate. A corner of fate! Exclamation mark. Lin Ke's pupils shrank. He quickly recalled what Lin Ke had just said and locked on the key point. The key point is another powerful main plane! Exclamation mark. But there is another key point. That is, there is no Lin Ke. Lin Ke died at the age of 6. Lin Ke, listen to me. Lin Ke felt Lin Ke's fear. What she feared was not the destruction of the world, but the loss of her loved ones. The future you see does not have me. Lin Ke said in a deep voice. I don't know what kind of changes I can bring to Nasan, but I know that I can definitely bring changes to Nasan. You have to believe me, no matter who the enemy is, I will lead the charge. Lin Ke stared at Lin Ke in a daze, and seeing the confidence in his eyes, she could not help but slowly nodded. After a while, Debius appeared. He was wearing a robe that emitted gorgeous starlight, and the fortune-telling ball in his hand still had 8 cracks. Little guy, take it out. Debius looked at Lin Ke. His face was not good at all. Lin Ke touched his nose awkwardly, then took out the scales of the 5-colored dragon mother and handed it to Debius. Tell me, what do you want to predict? Debius looked at Lin Ke unhappily and warned, I can't predict math problems, and I can't predict things that are beyond my ability. Lin Ke didn't know whether to laugh or cry. How could he predict math problems? He said, Mr. Debius, I want to divine who is the murderer behind the murder of my teacher Orf. I will find time to update next. Crazy coding. Please vote for me at the end of the month. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 257, The Strange Skills of the Astrologer. Ofu. Oh, that's really a pity Formula. Debius shook his head. What a pity. Those idiots of the materialist school finally gave birth to a legend. He also felt a vibration of the lore a few days ago. When Lin Ke heard what Debius said, he widened his eyes and said, Mr. Debius, those idiots of the materialist school. Oh my. Lin Ke thought of a possibility. Because I'm from the idealist school. Hehehe. Debius narrowed his eyes and looked at Lin Ke. You are a disciple of Ofu, so you think this world is made of matter? Mr. Debius, can you please stop laughing like that? Lin Ke was a little helpless. Anyway, please. He didn't want to answer questions like materialism and idealism, which was a life-threatening question. In the past, good people like Ofu would be angered by such questions, not to mention the old man in front of him who seemed to have a bad temper. Hey, you cunning boy. Debius laughed twice and was about to mock the shortcomings of the materialist school when he suddenly thought of the math problem that had caused Lin Ke to predict the planet's crack in his dream. So, he suddenly fell silent and then said after a while, "Let me check it for you. The person you are talking about is the great shaman of the wild boars, right? Originally, my divination would not involve legends and gods, but that kid off is quite to my taste, so I will check it out." As he spoke, Debius waved his hand, and all the windows of the wooden house closed. The house fell into darkness, and Lin Ke hugged Lin Ke's body tightly. Kekalu, Sasakapudo. At this time, a series of ancient secret texts came out of Debius' mouth, and the air began to vibrate, and mysterious laws began to emerge. The laws of stars, the laws of the moon, the laws of light, the laws of darkness, the laws of fate. Debius is indeed an ancient legendary astrologer. He has come into contact with so many laws, and they are all extremely powerful. After reciting the spell, Debius laughed at himself. Don't look at my laws as powerful, but these powerful laws are difficult to master. For 3,000 years, I have not made any progress. Lin Ke was startled. It was so easy as he didn't expect. Hey, it's coming. Black tentacles like octopuses suddenly appeared behind Debius, grabbing Lin Ke and Lin Ke. Don't move. Debius said in a deep voice. So Lin Ke and Lin Ke were immediately entangled by the tentacles. There was no wet and slippery feeling, no sticky feeling. Instead, there was a warm feeling like the burning of candlelight. 7 or 8 octopus buds emerged from Debius' eyes in an instant, stretched out, and licked the 8 cracked planet in front of him with fangs and claws. Suddenly, tiny dots of light emerged from the astronomy star, and then drilled into Debius' eyes one by one. Those light spots merged into Debius' eyes, and then turned into energy, and transmitted from the tentacles into Lin Ke and Lin Ke's bodies. The skills of astrologer are so weird. Lin Ke only felt that his SYN value was dropping wildly, but after thinking about it, this profession has existed in ancient times, it is normal. At this time, Lin Ke only felt that his eyes were hot, and then he suddenly saw a scene. This was an extremely dark sky, and around an altar burning with flames, there were countless skeletons of creatures. A short rat man, his left eye was completely white and his right eye was light blue. He stood on the altar. The rat man put on a hood, and held a scepter made of human baby skulls in his right hand. Next to him, under the altar, there was a vague figure, who seemed to use some skills on him. So after a period of transformation, the rat man with strange left and right eyes gradually became taller, and his face became more and more hideous and terrifying. The wild boar man shaman is a rat man in disguise. Lin Ke's expression was shocked, and he finally realized that he had fallen into a misunderstanding. All the clues he had collected before might be smoke bombs spread by the mastermind behind the scenes. What was the purpose? Perhaps it was to guide him. To guide him to hate the moon goddess and the eldest prince of the Gila royal family, and to suspect the gardener's wife. No. Lin Ke thought about it, and seemed to think of something more terrifying. At this moment, the scene changed. The wild boar man knelt down to the vague black shadow next to him. Kneel down. This is the etiquette of the Holy Life Alliance in the mythological era. Slave life kneels down to the lower life, and the lower life kneels down to the ordinary life, and so on. This represents submission. Of course, after the Gila kingdom became the supreme Nasang's etiquette was basically changed. For example, the etiquette of showing mutual respect is to lightly hammer the position above the heart with the right hand. After the wild boar man knelt down to the figure next to him, he turned around and prepared to kneel down again. But behind him, there was a ball of light. However, at this moment, a horrible burning and stinging sensation came from his vision, and Lin Ke could not help but close his eyes. Master level. Debius next to him screamed, and the tentacles waving from his pupils instantly seemed to touch the flames of lard, and melted into pus in an instant. He stepped back several steps, leaning on the edge of the chair, and his breath was turbulent. The master was also involved in this matter. Lin Ke also reacted. The blurry figure that appeared in the scene at the beginning was a legend. Although it was not clear, it did not affect it. And the second one to appear was actually the master. The existence of the master level was actually involved in this conspiracy. How many masters does Nasang have? 3 in the kingdom of Gila, the sleepless emperor of the human race, the moon goddess, and the 5-colored dragon mother of the dragon race. The Holy Life Alliance, the sun god of the phoenix race, and the original leaf of the life deer race. The ever-frozen council, the earth wolf of the frost wolf race. Add to that kneeling posture. Sun god. Lin Ke opened his eyes, all bloodshot, obviously pierced by the strong light just now. I really want to pull out the goddess of luck and beat her up again. Why am I so unlucky? Debius didn't say anything, but screamed. Just now, his fortune star had 7 more cracks, and a little while later, he was injured because of spying on the master. Is this the curse that the goddess of luck gave him? Although Lin Ke was full of sun god at this time, he felt a little guilty towards Debius, so he said, Mr. Debius, I didn't expect that there would be a master behind the scenes. This time, I owe you a favor. He really didn't expect it. At most, he could think of 2 or 3 legends, and at most the rat god. Now it seems, behind the rat god, there is also the sun god. Okay, get out. Debius was in a terrible mood and didn't want to see Lin Ke and Lin Ke for a second. So, Lin Ke and Lin Ke left. Chapter 258 Temporary Mount. Walking in the forest, Lin Ke and Lin Ke felt a little heavy. They just came out of the dream, and before they could catch their breath, they knew that the enemy was the sun god. I might as well let my father go and beat him up. Lin Ke said indignantly. My father hates this kind of conspiracy the most. But Lin Ke also knew that he was just talking. The fight between the true masters of the 2 most powerful forces will inevitably cause a huge war that sweeps across the entire continent, affecting countless races and countless lives. Let me do it. Lin Ke's eyes were deep. It just so happens. Mr. Aofu's resurrection requires a master level body. Give Mr. Aofu a body of the sun god. I wonder if he will be satisfied? Master level 28. At the speed, give him 30 years. No, 20 years. He must step into the legend, and then gather a group of legends, to charge at the sun god. It just so happens, that the lowest talent of his followers is very good. There is a possibility of becoming a legend in the future. Although the possibility is small, with him behind him, this possibility will be infinitely expanded. Lin Ke, don't forget about us. Lin Ke held Lin Ke's hand tightly, a little worried about Lin Ke's condition. It's okay. Lin Ke smiled. There was no unbearable anger in his eyes, only calmness as deep as a pond. But Lin Ke, who was familiar with Lin Ke, knew that under the bottomless pond, there was madness surging like lava. Let's go find Mr. Li Guanmabi. Lin Ke looked forward. Great forger, Li Guanmabi. Lin Ke actually always wanted to make a handy weapon for himself, but there were only a few low-level blacksmiths in Dahuang City, and they were not as good as some of the weapons he bought. And Li Guanmobi was the leader of all human blacksmiths, forgers, and forgers. Nasung's first legendary, great forger. Before him, countless creatures were best at engraving secret texts on their scales, claws, feathers, etc. However, as a legendary fire magician, he discovered the secret of tempering while some human children were playing. So, with his efforts, a new profession was born. Blacksmith. Later, the forger profession was created. The end of the road for these 2 professions leads directly to legends. Li Guanmobi's road is legendary, so he is called the Great Forger. Of course, the birth of every legend in Nasung is a legend. Except for people like Aofu, there are very few who work behind closed doors. There has only been one Aofu in the past few hundred years. And even if it was Aofu, the biggest possibility was to stop at level 19, staring at lightning and doing research in his own plane, slowly reaching the upper limit, and then his body turned into lightning element, and merged into Nasung. But after meeting Lin Ke, he first broke through to Xinghu, and then broke through to legend. Such an experience caused Aofu to be less famous. Otherwise, the breakthrough of every god and legend would generally cause a huge response. Of course, because of Lin Ke and Dahuang City, Aofu is also famous on the continent. Except for Orth. In fact, 99% of the legendary breakthroughs have traces to follow, rather than just popping up with a pop. According to Lin Ke's news, Li Guanmobi has not come out of seclusion for 100 years, to make weapons for others. I wonder if Emperor Wumian will give him face. You know, before the birth of the kingdom of Gila, Li Guanmobi was already a legend. Such an ancient existence, like that, astrologer, devious, rarely can catch their eye except for favors. I hope Emperor Wumian and devious have a good relationship. Just chatting like this, Lin Ke and Lin Ke stepped into the teleportation array together, and teleported to the plane where Li Guanmobi was. Like devious, Li Guanmobi is also in seclusion. The only difference is that devious lives in the forest tree house, where the conifer tribe lives. And the place where Li Guanmobi lives in seclusion is a snow-capped mountain that rises straight into the sky. Looking at the snow-capped mountain in front of him, Lin Ke, who is a level 10 knight, couldn't help but tighten his clothes. Legendary fire magician, legendary great forger, Li Guanmobi, actually lived in the ice and snow? Could it be because he was tempering his fire ability in the ice and snow? Lin Ke didn't know, but he probably meant something similar. Dear noble, welcome to the 36th floor of the abyss, the volcano. At this time, 3 huge snow white wolves stepped over from the side and bowed their heads slightly. They were people from the Frost Wolf clan, but judging from their authentic abyss accent, they were probably native abyss people. We are here to find Mr. Li Guanmobi. May I ask where he is? Lin Ke asked with a pleasant face. Hearing the name Li Guanmobi, the 3 frost wolves in front of him turned their faces and showed some hostility, and the power of the professionals on their bodies fluctuated. When the other frost wolves heard the words Li Guanmobi from Lin Ke, they also gathered over. Lin Ke frowned and took out the things given by Emperor Wumian. I'm Lin Ke Azanan, and next to me is Princess Lin Ke. I'm here to see Mr. Li Guanmobi on the orders of Emperor Wumian for urgent matters. Princess Lin Ke. Lin Ke. Emperor Wumian. Suddenly, these frost wolves were shocked by these 3 names. The frost wolf with the smallest eyes shouted back the other wolves, and then stepped forward and said, Lin Ke, please follow me. Lin Ke nodded, and followed Lin Ke behind the frost wolf to the snowy mountains in the distance. This plane is called a volcano? Could it be that Guanmobi here wants to master the laws of ice and snow? Lin Ke didn't know, but he didn't care. As long as that person made him a good weapon, it would be fine. Not long ago, a legend broke in here and asked Master Li Guanmobi to make him a weapon, but he was repelled by Master Li Guanmobi. The small-eyed frost wolf explained with an apologetic look on his face. It's okay. Lin Ke nodded, not caring. The little-eyed frost wolf grinned and felt relieved when he saw that Lin Ke didn't care. During the walk, the little-eyed frost wolf couldn't stop peeking at Lin Ke as if he was looking at something rare and wonderful. What's wrong? Lin Ke was curious. This frost wolf had been looking at him. No. Sir Lin Ke, you are the knight Lin Ke who led the charge, right? The little-eyed frost wolf asked tentatively. Yes. Lin Ke nodded. It should be me, if there is no other person with the same name. Then, can Lin Ke ride me? The little-eyed frost wolf's eyes sparkled slightly. I want to try the knight's charge. Ah. Lin Ke raised his eyebrows. What kind of request was this? I'm afraid this will undermine your dignity. Dignity? The little-eyed frost wolf's eyes were full of confusion. Isn't it an honor to carry a knight to charge? And it's just carrying a few dozen pounds of things. It's not heavy. I've been too busy these days. The update may be a little late. Sorry. Chapter 259 Master of Thermodynamics. Finally, Lin Ke was convinced. It was the first time I heard someone wanted to be ridden. It was a strange request. The little-eyed frost wolf howled again and called 7 or 8 wolves. This lady also needs a mount. Who wants to come? The little-eyed frost wolf looked over and then stood firmly beside Lin Ke, like a husky protecting its food. The frost wolves looked at each other for a few times, and their auras rose. The atmosphere immediately became tense. Mounts. The mounts here are also intelligent creatures, not the semi-intelligent creatures like the horses in the previous life, which only belong to the category of spiritual animals. Finding a better rider for Nassan's mount is like a knight finding a better mount. It's hard to find one for each other. To be honest, Lin Ke has changed mounts 7 or 8 times so far, but he has never met the kind of mount he wants to ride for the rest of his life. It's as difficult as finding his beloved partner. Some mounts are like this. It's also very difficult to find a knight who suits you and is in tune with you. And now, in this icy and snowy, sparsely populated 36th floor abyss, these frost wolves are guarding here. It seems that they haven't been ridden for a long time and want it. However, Lin Ke is not a knight. I'm not a knight, Lin Ke blurted out. Then the frost wolves, who were just on the verge of a fight and grinning, were stunned. However, the next moment, Lin Ke blurted out again, but I have money. The frost wolves were even more confused. Money? Who doesn't have it? 1,000 gold coins for one ride, Lin Ke blurted out. 1,000 gold coins? Exclamation mark. The purchasing power of a copper coin here is about 5 yuan in Lin Ke's previous life. 1 gold coin is 500 yuan, and 1,000 gold coins is equivalent to 500,000. The next moment, those confused frost wolves were on the verge of a fight again. It is true that they are professionals, but professionals do not necessarily mean they are rich. Just like Lin Ke's previous life, being strong and making money are two different things. These frost wolves are miserable. They usually make extra money outside. The money they earn as teleportation array guards is not enough to spend. I'll choose. I want that big white one. Lin Ke pointed over. I don't want you to choose. I want this big white one. The frost wolf she liked had rounder hair, which looked fluffy and soft and very cute. So, the frost wolf howled happily and came over happily. Only then did Lin Ke realize. How come this frost wolf looks so much like a Samoyed? Are you all from the Frost Wolf clan? The Frost Wolf clan, born and raised on the 36th floor? Lin Ke asked the little-eyed Frost Wolf curiously. Yes, Mr. Lin Ke, we are a branch of the Frost Wolf clan, the Abyss Snow Wolf, which is a little different from the other Frozen Frost Wolf. The little-eyed Frost Wolf smiled, then took care of the Samoyed and said, hurry up, we will try to get there within 10 minutes. A branch of the Frost Wolf clan, the Abyss Snow Wolf. The Abyss Snow Wolf. Not bad. Lin Ke was thoughtful. This branch is equivalent to the Azan people to the human race, just a small category. By the way, if a group of new intelligent life forms came to the Great Wasteland City as residents, and they were also excellent mounts, wouldn't that be great? The two of them rode on their mounts and began to rush to the largest snow mountain. Although this layer of the abyss was very close to the front, Lin Ke had told him that there were actually many legends living in seclusion in the first 100 layers of the abyss. These legends had no idea about the domination level, they just wanted to do what they liked and stay in the environment they liked. Sir Lin Ke, do you want to try the charge? The charge of the night? The little-eyed frost wolf ran and asked Lin Ke excitedly, almost writing the word charge in his eyes. The Samoyed carrying Lin Ke next to him was a little envious, but when he thought that he could make an extra 1,000 gold coins, the sour feeling disappeared without a trace. Okay. Lin Ke smiled, leaned forward slightly, and the power of the night flowed through his body. Skill. Charge. Suddenly, Lin Ke's power and the power of the little-eyed frost wolf merged together, bursting out with terrifying power. The little-eyed frost wolf suddenly widened its eyes, carrying Lin Ke like a snow-white meteorite, and all obstacles along the way were directly crushed, with amazing impact. Awoo, awoo, awoo. Ha ha ha, oh my god. The little-eyed frost wolf shouted with extreme excitement, disturbing the creatures along the way. In the end, a conifer tribe couldn't help but want to slap him, but fortunately he avoided it. After charging all the way and stopping at the foot of the snow mountain, the little-eyed frost wolf seemed to be unsatisfied. The Samoyed frost wolf hurried and finally caught up with them with the help of Lin Ke. Okay, we may stay here for a few days and play together when we are free. Lin Ke waved his hand and walked up the mountain with Lin Ke. He had to solve the problem of weapons before the noble's deliberation. He would probably wait here for the forging master to make the equipment before leaving. The two frost wolves watched them go up the mountain before leaving. The snow on the mountain was very heavy, but Lin Ke's skill derived from the law of thermodynamics gave him a sense. Hot. There is a lot of heat inside this mountain. Sure enough, Lin Ke looked at the ground under his feet and stamped his feet gently. This is a volcano. From here, you can see that this is still an abyss, and outside is a huge hole leading to the bottom. At this time, the endless light is slowly shrinking back to the abyss from outside the abyss, creating a feeling like the sun rising and setting. And the only mountain on the 36th floor, where they are, is almost touching the top. Although it is not particularly tall and steep, it is not bad. There is a huge amount of energy here. At this time, Lin Ke looked at the ground and also felt it. Mr. Li Guanmobi, I'm Lin Ke. His Majesty wooed me and asked me to come to you and said that you can make a weapon for me. Lin Ke simply shouted loudly. However, at this moment, an enchanted longsword flew out directly from the mountain range and then inserted in front of Lin Ke, shaking constantly. A level 15 enchanted longsword. It is considered to be quite rare, but this is not what Lin Ke wants. Go away. Just as Lin Ke was about to speak again, a rumbling sound came from the belly of the mountain. It was a clean and sharp male voice. Sir. Lin Ke frowned, and before he could say anything, the snow on the mountain began to roll down. Avalanche. So unreasonable. You are so unreasonable, Li Guanmobi. Why are you so excessive? Lin Ke shouted, and took out a bottle of sky-high priced order potion. No need for order potion, I'll do it. Lin Ke snorted coldly, and the power of Scholar rose. Skill, 0 degree. Skill, overheat. In an instant, the only little heat within a few kilometers rushed towards Lin Ke's direction, and then turned into heat and gushed out, impacting this snowy mountain. Afterwards, the heat was absorbed again. So, the snow turned into water, and then turned from water into ice again, solidifying in place. At this moment, a surprised voice came from the belly of the mountain. The skill of the god of fire. Heart of fire? No. Who are you? Chapter 260 Legendary Weapon Reservation. Heart of Fire. Lin Ke's eyes flashed with a strange color. He knew that the person who was speaking was Li Guanmobi, so he said loudly, Mr. Li Guanmobi, I'm Lin Ke. Lin Ke Azanan, His Majesty Wumian. Azanan? You are Azanan? Hearing Azanan, the voice suddenly became excited. Suddenly, Lin Ke and Li Ke felt boundless heat pouring out from the mountainside of this mountain, filling the sky and the earth in an instant. Boom. Waves of vibration came, and in front of Lin Ke and Li Ke, a giant more than 3 meters tall stood up from a cave, and broke the snow water that had just frozen into ice. The amazing heat was emitted from the hole in front of the giant. Sir Li Guanmobi, I'm a descendant of Azanan. Lin Ke hammered his chest to express his respect for the strong. This strong man should be very old. After all, in Guanmobi's ears here, Azanan's name is greater than Lin Ke's name. The current Nasan continent is just the opposite. Everyone knows about Link, but they don't know how powerful the Azan family is. Those who know about the glory of the Azan family are all some old guys. Azan. I'm a martyr of the human race. Li Guanmobi's body approached Lin Ke and Lin Ke, and his voice was a little sad. Descendant of the Grand Marshal. You come here to forge weapons, right? After saying that, he wiped a lot of tears. Grand Marshal. You should know that the Azan family has only one Grand Marshal, and that is the ancestor of the mythological era. It seems to be a person from a very ancient period. Lin Ke knew in his heart that there should be hope for weapon forging this time. Little guys, follow me. Li Guanmobi walked into a cave in a depressed mood. Here, Guanmobi is tall, and his skin under the snow is mossy stone color. His face is square like a solid stone, and his eyes are lightly blue. Li Guanmobi is not a human. At least not a pure human. Just now, Li Guanmobi was sitting on the ground over there, completely blocking the entrance of the cave, and covered with enough snow. And these snows. Lin Ke sensed the traces of the laws of thermodynamics. He had a terrible guess. All the heat in the 36th layer of the volcanic abyss was gathered in this volcano by Li Guanmobi through some method. I'm forging a legendary weapon. Li Guanmobi walked into the huge cave and said to Lin Ke and Li Ke, it took me more than 30 years to search for materials and more than 500 years to nurture the embryo. Lin Ke and Li Ke listened to Li Guanmobi's introduction of his experience in making this weapon. Li Guanmobi's weapon is related to whether he can be promoted to level 25. A legendary weapon. Lin Ke and Li Ke were somewhat shocked. Most of the weapons used by legends are not legendary, and a few have weapons with excellent growth potential, which are nurtured from the beginning, and then nurtured to legend. Directly forging a legendary weapon. What a big deal. It's like giving birth to a legendary child with bare hands. Others are nurtured from childhood to adulthood, but Li Guanmobi gave birth to an adult in an instant. But, I will not make other weapons, until this weapon is completed. After they walked in, Li Guanmobi squatted down at the entrance of the cave, blocking the entrance like a huge rock. Then, the terrifying heat rushed in. But the next moment, a protective film appeared around Lin Ke and Lika's bodies. You can't resist this heat. Well, Azan's boy, why is there no smell of rapids in your body? I remember that there is a rapids behind the Azan family, right? The admirable Grand Marshal. As he said this, Li Guanmobi wiped his tears again. This is a sentimental person. Lin Ke is full of respect for Li Guanmobi. After all, he is a contemporary of Azan's ancestor. The bloodline of our family has degenerated. He did not say why it degenerated. Otherwise, in his opinion, Li Guanmobi might be angry. He even dared to disobey Wu Mian's orders, let alone the moon goddess. Degenerated? Li Guanmobi was stunned, and then he couldn't believe it. That's blood turbulence. The great revelation of the human race. How could it be? As he spoke, Li Guanmobi wiped away tears again, making Lin Ke wonder whether he was frightened or sad. Why is he as cribby as Nix when he was a child? Forget it, Grand Marshal. Li Guanmobi sat there with a sad face and introduced to Lin Ke and Lika again. At the beginning, I could only watch the Grand Marshal from afar, but that light deeply influenced me. By the way, my weapon is only as big as my palm now, and I haven't thought about what to make. Should I make a dagger? Only women use it. Speaking of Wu Mian, that kid once brought that 5-color dragon princess to see me. Hey, I see that you, Aznan, seem to have a skill similar to the Heart of Fire. The Heart of Fire is the skill of my teacher, but it was lost after he died 20,000 years ago. By the way, if you have any ideas, please tell me. 1/4 of my blood is the blood of the mountain giants, and my brain is very stupid. Guanmobi talked endlessly here. Lin Ke and the others didn't see anything in the cave. They could only feel a heat and loneliness. Li Guanmobi seemed to have been lonely for too long. He existed in the mythological era and has survived to this day, even as long lived as the kingdom of Gila. All those familiar beings have left, so of course he would feel lonely. So, after meeting the familiar Azan, he opened up and talked non-stop. Lin Ke and Li Ke seemed to be extremely patient. An old man wanted to chat and talk about things. This old man was also one of the founders of this great country, and they should respect him. And Li Guanmobi just said that, and they listened. This stop lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. Lin Ke and Li Ke seemed to have returned to the darkest period of the human race, following the powerful and wise Gilai and the Grand Marshal Azan, who led the invincible light and military to fight on the battlefield. Finally, Li Guanmobi smacked his lips and said with a sense of unsatisfaction, "So, I have always wanted to see the Grand Marshal again, but unfortunately, alas." Lin Ke and Li Ke also nodded to express their understanding and regret. At this moment, Li Guanmobi suddenly looked up at Lin Ke, his eyes burning. "Why not? I give you this legendary weapon." Lin Ke was shocked, and then frowned. "Sir Li Guanmobi, this is not suitable. It is your most precious treasure." And although Li Guanmobi lives in seclusion here, few people know this news, but there are still many people who know it. Even the things he is making are probably known to others. This is a hot potato. And Lin Ke doesn't want to take someone's love away, especially since Li Guanmobi has a deep relationship with the ancestor as an N. According to Li Guanmobi, he was the man who was stared at by the Grand Marshal for 3 seconds. Chapter 261 The Crystallization of 3 into 1. Electrical Thermodynamics and Mechanics. No, this is for you. In the cave, Li Guanmobi's eyes were burning. Yes, it must be. You have the Heart of Fire skill. You are the eldest son of Azan, and you are favored by the sleepless boy. Li Guanmobi became more and more excited. He did not move his body, but stretched out his arm like a moss rock and grabbed the void behind Lin Ke and Li Ke from a distance. Suddenly, a more terrifying heat appeared from there, and a flame dripping with magma emerged from the void. "Hold it," Li Guanmobi said. "I will take you there." Lin Ke wanted to refuse again. "Sir Li Guanmobi, I..." Li Guanmobi waved his hand impatiently. "Don't embarrass your ancestors. It's just a legendary weapon. The important thing is this noble review. Didn't you say it is very important?" Hearing this, Lin Ke had to remain silent, and then he and Li Ke held the burning flame together. Wow. The flame suddenly increased, and the figures of the two were suddenly wrapped in it, and then disappeared. Seeing this, Li Guanmobi lowered his head and closed his eyes. Wow, the figures of Lin Ke and Li Ke appeared in this place wrapped in lava. In the light orange protective cover, Lin Ke also made 2 layers of air pressure shields to protect him and Li Ke. In this wide space, in front of them stood a lava giant several dozen meters high. Little guys, look there. Li Guanmobi's voice came from the mouth of the lava giant. Lin Ke and Li Ke looked in the direction of the giant's finger. In the lava sea, there was a golden slurry floating up and down, with orange-yellow fire spots floating on it. If you have that skill, you can speed up the speed of the embryo absorbing the fire element, so that it can take shape quickly. Of course, I have recently been studying the use of thunder and lightning power to temper the embryo. It still has a little thunder and lightning element. Li Guanmobi explained, while slowly squatting down, just like Lin Ke's horse stance in his previous life. Then, a stone hammer that looked like a strange stone appeared in Li Guanmobi's hand, and then he hammered hard at the floating pulp mass. When the stone hammer was swung out, Lin Ke suddenly felt that all the surrounding space, element, laws, etc. were like popcorn in a frying pan, all exploding under the stone hammer. It was as if it was not a hammer, but a mountain range. No, it was more powerful than a mountain range. The mighty hammer swept down and hit the soft and weak pulp mass heavily. Bang! A huge sound came from it, as if the tip of a needle hit a spike, and even there were cracks in the space where the two touched. Those were cracks in the space that were torn apart by energy alone. Wisps of flames and flashes of lightning also burst out from the stone hammer. Then, the pulp mass shrank a little bit, and then absorbed a little bit of the surrounding heat, and absorbed a little bit of lightning. However, this was not the end. Li Guanmobi, who was like a lava giant, just hit it once, and swung the hammer again. He struck again and again. The hammer brought up a whirlwind, and phantoms appeared along the hammer's trajectory. For hundreds of years, Li Guanmobi has been hammering the embryo day after day. But this space was left to me by my teacher. I used it to absorb the heat from the entire volcanic abyss, so a group of frost wolves came to live here. While hammering, Li Guanmobi couldn't help chatting with Lin Ke and the others. A chatterbox who has been lonely and empty for tens of thousands of years. His mouth is simply terrifying. Sir Li Guanmobi, I think I can make him absorb heat faster. Lin Ke also wanted to speed up the formation of the weapon. In the end, he couldn't resist the temptation of the legendary weapon, not to mention that the legendary weapon was indeed useful for his noble evaluation. There was no need for a little pretentiousness. What he had to do was to use the weapon reasonably and owe Li Guanmobi a favor and help him to the best of his ability in the future. Okay, little guy, go ahead. Li Guanmobi continued to strike, and bits of flames and lightning were hammered into the slurry. Lin Ke got permission and immediately mobilized the strength in his body. Skill, 0 degree. As soon as he used 0 degree, a huge amount of heat rushed into Lin Ke's body. Too huge. This magma sea gathered the heat of the entire 36th layer of the volcanic abyss. A whole layer of heat. This heat is too huge. Lin Ke could feel that, if all this heat came, his body would definitely be squeezed and exploded in an instant. Control. Lin Ke's eyes were full of calmness, and he learned to control the heat, like he controlled the air pressure shield at the beginning. Absorb heat, and then release heat. Lin Ke frowned slightly, pointed at the slurry from a distance, and endless heat was released instantly. Skill, overheat. Lin Ke's body was like a converter, and the heat of the entire plane filled his body bit by bit. Then it all turned into a visible orange beam of light, impacting the embryo. What a powerful skill. Little guy, your skills will be even more powerful in the future. Well, are you interested in becoming a blacksmith? I think your skills are very suitable. Li Guanmobi's hands did not change, and he asked Lin Ke with interest. It's very suitable. Heat absorption and heat release. These two skills are simply specially designed for blacksmiths and forgers. Lin Ke didn't have the leisure to answer Li Guanmobi's words at this time. Hot. He has used 0 degrees and overheating so many times, but this is the first time he has felt that terrifying heat. This heat merged with the heat in Lin Ke's body, washing Lin Ke's internal organs, blood vessels and cells. As a result, some invisible impurities were hammered out of Lin Ke's body by the heat. Lin Ke didn't realize that his body was like an embryo at this time, being hammered by that heat. and after Lin Ke's converter, the embryo absorbed heat at a speed that was almost hundreds of times faster than before. Li Guanmobi naturally discovered this, his eyes gleaming. "Little guy, hold on for 5 hours, and the embryo will be fully formed. Take advantage of this time to think about what kind of weapon you want." Li Guanmobi's voice was a little excited. "The weapon that has lasted for hundreds of years will be promoted today." 5 hours. Feeling the huge heat, Lin Ke felt that he could not hold on for 10 minutes. But if it is a weapon, he just thought of one. This fist-sized embryo is not suitable for making a sword, and he can't use a dagger. But the thing he thought of is just enough. And it's just right for him. That artifact is a complete creation of mechanical mechanics, which is very suitable for Lin Ke. If you add lightning and magma, it is a combination of mechanics, electricity, and blood. It is. Chapter 262, Thunder and Fire. Crimson Fist. "Little guy, what you said is too complicated." After a day, Li Guanmobi covered his head, which was bigger than Lin Ke's body, and was in great pain. "Why is there such a thing as mechanics? Who invented it?" Next to him was Lin Ke with a helpless look on his face and Lin Ke, who had fallen asleep. Yes, Lin Ke was giving a lecture. Although Li Guanmobi swung the sledgehammer again and again, he didn't have much concept of mechanics. Just like in the previous life, you lift an object, you know how to lift it, but you may not be able to calculate the mechanics. For example, walking is related to friction. Few people know how much friction there is between the soles of their feet and the ground when they walk, but they can walk. And now, Li Guanmobi, who can forge iron, can't understand the mechanics described by Lin Ke at all. "Forget it, little guy, just make one." Li Guanmobi was really having a headache, and used the earth element to condense a piece of soft soil for Lin Ke. "No need." Lin Ke didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "I can just use air pressure to pinch it." Originally, I wanted to talk to Li Guanmobi about mechanics and mechanical structure. It would be great if he could get feedback like AOF did before. Now it seems that for 100 years, AOF was staring at the lightning without moving, thinking, while Li Guanmobi was moving around, but his brain was not moving. Thinking about mechanics is too difficult for him. So, Lin Ke made a move, and layers of thin air pressure shields slowly wrapped up in the air, forming a sphere. When he charged, he was basically not like the cavalry in his previous life. Nasung's knights charge in all kinds of strange ways, and using impact force is just one of them. Therefore, he doesn't have to use weapons such as lances and longswords. The weapons of the nobles are also strange. And not long ago, his will confrontation with many legends in the bottom abyss made him discover the power he should really master. Fist. He remembered the saying in his previous life, "Whoever has the bigger fist is right." Therefore, under the red iron fist of the previous life, all the monsters and demons, and the imperial bureaucratic capitalism, all turned into paper tigers. In the forging of the embryo that just ended, Lin Ke discovered a secret. That is, his flesh can be tempered in the process of using 0 degrees and overheating. Flesh sanctification. What a tempting name. Lin Ke decided that in addition to meditation, he would practice another practice, which is to temper the flesh through 0 degrees and heat. So, his weapon was also thought of for this reason. In the air, the layers of pressure wrapped the air, and formed a fist-sized ball in the air. During this process, Li Guanmobi stared at the formation process of Lin Ke's ball, and when the formation of this tool was formed, he said, "It looks like this is not an ordinary weapon, it is quite complicated. Ordinary swords, guns, sticks, and clubs, the production process only needs to ensure the length, width, hardness, softness, or sharpness. But this bowl tool made Li Guanmobi feel the complexity of the production process. What is this?" After memorizing the process of making this ball, Li Guanmobi asked. "I call it wrist strength ball." Lin Ke smiled. Wrist strength ball. In the previous life, the wrist strength ball was just a small fitness device that can exercise fingers, wrists, and arms. During the operation of the wrist strength ball, it can generate a force far beyond its own. If used well, the power released will give people a blessing of power. It is equivalent to Aofu's pulley power amplification skill. In the previous life, the power of the wrist strength ball was very strong. And now, with the material of the embryo in the center of the void, Lin Ke estimated that he could burst out even more powerful power. Wrist strength ball? Li Guanmobi didn't quite understand, because it seemed too troublesome to make it. It would be better to make a sword or a knife, which is very simple. But he didn't refuse, but started to make it. At this time, the heat in the entire small space has dropped a lot compared to before. If the average temperature of the entire space was 1 or 2000 degrees before, it is estimated to be only 25 or 26 degrees now, a temperature suitable for human survival. Li Guanmobi's thick palm reached forward, grabbed the small embryo in his hand, and then used his other hand to pinch and rub it. White light burst out from the tips of his fingers, shooting at the embryo like a laser. Great forger, skill, holy shaping. Under Li Guanmobi's shaping, the fist-sized embryo gradually changed from a sphere to an irregular circle. Some places became hard, some places became soft, and some places became tough and elastic. As Li Guanmobi's final shaping began, his eyes gradually became empty and focused, as if the whole world was left with only the embryo in his hand. Lin Ke watched from the side, and Li Ke had not yet awakened from the fear dominated by physics, and her brain was still asleep. Gradually, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours passed, and Li Guanmobi was still shaping, but he began to engrave secret words in the process of shaping. Solid, flexible, lightning, lava. A series of secret words that Lin Ke recognized and didn't recognize were integrated into it. Finally, Lin Ke felt that there was a certain change between heaven and earth. Feedback. Feedback came one after another, most of it on Li Guanmobi, and a small part flowed to Lin Ke in the wrist ball. This is Nasing's first wrist ball, and it is also the first weapon application of mechanical mechanics. It is different from other weapons. For example, the sword. The essence of a sword is the blade and the hilt. No matter how it changes, it cannot escape this essence. Longer, shorter, bigger, or smaller. So no matter how it changes, no matter how novel, there will be no feedback. The wrist ball is the application of mechanical mechanics. So Lin Ke's scholar has received another feedback, and the bottleneck is higher. As Nasing's first wrist ball, just like Sophie's first music score, it always has wonderful functions. But this is not the most important thing. Li Guanmobi, a breakthrough. A huge amount of heat burst out from Li Guanmobi's body. Fortunately, Lin Ke and Li Ke had the previous protective shield around them, and the heat did not hurt them. At this moment, the laws in the air vibrated. The fire laws in this space were cheering and celebrating their master's promotion. Li Guanmobi stopped moving, stood in the cooled magma, and closed his eyes. But the wrist ball suddenly glowed. Zzzz. The wrist ball suddenly started to move by itself, and thick plasma burst out from the wrist ball, and then shot directly from Li Guanmobi's hand. Lin Ke was shocked, and quickly put up a lot of air pressure shields, but they were immediately broken by a collision. Finally, the wrist ball rushed to Lin Ke's side, slowly flying around Lin Ke, looking very happy. Lin Ke tried to reach out, eyeing. The wrist ball made a strange hum, and then jumped into his hand. A legendary weapon, and it also has a certain spirituality! Exclamation mark. Chapter 263, Seal. Prepare for the noble's deliberation. This wrist strength ball has a strong spirituality. Lin Ke has never seen a spiritual instrument, but it is not non-existent. Aofu told him before that some instruments have a certain spirituality. Instruments with spirituality can definitely become legendary instruments, but legendary instruments do not necessarily have spirituality, and this wrist strength ball seems to be very close to him. The wrist strength ball floated up and down beside Lin Ke, as if urging Lin Ke to hold it tightly, bursting with purple thunder, and the whole ball was extremely hot. Lin Ke thought about it, and tentatively stretched out his hand. The wrist strength ball rushed into Lin Ke's palm, and then trembled gently with comfort, as if it was a kitten being stroked by Lin Ke. This is. Lin Ke felt as if he was holding an ancient dragon. The violent power of the wrist strength ball rotated and collided in Lin Ke's hand, and it almost slipped out of his hand. But the next moment, Lin Ke felt that the weak spirituality contained in it controlled its own body, and gently moved Lin Ke's wrist to shake. As Lin Ke shook, a stream of power was added to his hand from the wrist strength ball, and the control of the lightning and lava was also handed over to Lin Ke. As long as he moved his mind, the lightning and lava could be ejected, and of course they could be retracted into the wrist strength ball. However, he also found that lightning and lava were disposable items and could not be used for a long time, but could only be stored. The power enhancement of the wrist strength ball is its own characteristic, which can be activated at any time by the spirituality in it. At this time, Lin Ke seemed to be awakened by the change and opened her eyes. What's wrong, Lin Ke? At this time, Li Guanmobi laughed heartily. Haha, I broke through. After hundreds of years, I finally broke through. Li Guanmobi's voice was both happy and lonely. But what if I broke through? Old friends. As he said, a few large drops of magma tears flowed down, and then he gently wiped them away. Level 25. You can still protect the human race, just like you did in the past. Lin Ke replied at the right time. Mr. Li Guanmobi, you should know that Gila is now in an unprecedented crisis. Crisis? Li Guanmobi chuckled. With Emperor Wumian here, what crisis can there be? Wumian. I have seen every king, including Emperor Gidarai, and Emperor Wumian is one of the most powerful ones. Hearing this evaluation, Lin Ke looked proud of it. Thinking of Emperor Wumian's performance in the palace at that time, it is indeed reassuring. But Lin Ke still wants to kidnap Li Guanmobi. What is he doing in seclusion in the 36th layer of the abyss? Retirement? That won't work. Go to the great wilderness to shine and build. We just came from Astrologer, Lord Devious, where Lin Ke saw Emperor Wumian's bloody battlefield, and Assen was occupied by another main plane. Lin Ke's voice was serious, and there was no lie. All of it was true. Li Guanmobi also heard the truth in Lin Ke's words, but he just smiled and said, little guy, there are so many people who want to pull me out to be a slave. Not long ago, a wild boar shaman came to me and wanted me to forge weapons for him, but I beat him away. Haha. Li Guanmobi's laughter was full of pride. Wild boar shaman! Exclamation mark. Lin Ke narrowed his eyes. Wild boar shaman. That wild boar shaman killed a legend with unlimited potential in the Gila kingdom, and that legend is my teacher. Li Guanmobi's voice stopped abruptly. How is this possible? In the abyss. No, it's on the bloody road. Lin Ke shook his head, not wanting to say it, but said, the strong men of Nasan are now gathered in the abyss. In a few days, it will be the Noble Review. This time, the Noble Review is a grand event for the entire continent, because Emperor Wumian has discovered the main plane that will intersect with Nasan within 100 years. Lin Ke described the current problem as briefly as possible, and then said sincerely, Sir Li Guanmobi, you can get to know me after you go out. If you need it, my great wasteland city is open to you at any time, so that I can maximize your advantages and value. Factory. Weapon factory. The 3-in-1, blacksmith, in the great wasteland now can't make the weapon factory that Lin Ke wants. There are legendary phoenixes and flamingo tribes, which are all good sources of firepower energy. Now those flamingos are just used for glass factories, which is really a waste of talent. And to forge weapons, a technical guide is definitely needed. Who can compare with the ancestor Li Guanmobi? Haha, kid. Li Guanmobi said with a smile. If there is a need, I will go to the bottom of the abyss. Why go to your great wilderness? Because the great wilderness is special. Lin Ke shook his head and said no more. You will know after you go out. He raised his hand and handed the wrist strength ball to Li Guanmobi. Look, this is a wrist strength ball. The wrist strength ball made a slight sound and lay in Lin Ke's hand without moving. Oh. Li Guanmobi stretched out his hand and waved. The wrist strength ball floated up and struggled for a while, but did not break free. All of them are spiritual. Level 21. Well, it seems that the secret code of spatial storage has taken effect. By the way, Li Guanmobi lightly tapped the wrist ball in his hand, and a light flashed, and the aura of the wrist ball dropped to level 20. The Noble's Review you participated in does not allow power above the legendary level, right? Then the wrist ball floated back, as if it was drunk. Thank you. Lin Ke smiled, and took back the wrist ball, holding it tightly in his hand, preparing to slowly cultivate the tacit understanding with the wrist ball. Okay, let's all go out. Li Guanmobi waved his hand, and a small flame appeared next to Lin Ke and Liquor. The two held it, then were wrapped in flames, and disappeared in this space. The lava giant that Li Guanmobi turned into magma, and fell into the magma, and the small space returned to calm. Snow Mountain. Lin Ke and the others appeared in the cave of the Snow Mountain again, and not far away was Li Guanmobi in the shape of a mountain giant. Now it seems that one of the mountain giant and the lava giant is just Li Guanmobi's clone. Little guys, now that you have got the things, let's go back. The tall figure of Li Guanmobi who was blocking the entrance of the cave stood up from outside the cave. Sir Li Guanmobi, are you really not going to go with me? Lin Ke invited again. No. Li Guanmobi shook his head. I'm used to the life in the abyss. Well, Lin Ke had no choice but to hope that Li Guanmobi will be really fragrant by then. Okay, go quickly. Li Guanmobi's face, which looked like a moss-covered rock, showed a smile. I'm going to travel around Nassing and see how many traces of old friends are still there. If you need anything, remember to come to me again. Haha. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 264, Generous Rewards. Noble's deliberation begins. So, what do you want to call this little thing? Liquor asked Lin Ke excitedly, poking the wrist ball in his hand, and the wrist ball made a soft hum, as if playing with liquor. Let's call it Thunder Wrist Ball. Lin Ke thought of the thunder staff lying in his space ring, and gave the wrist ball a name. Thunder Wrist Ball. Okay, domineering. Liquor poked the thunder wrist ball happily again. At this time, they were resting in the King's Hotel. You know, tomorrow is the day when the noble's evaluation begins. It would be a lie to say that I'm not nervous. You know, this time it is a grand event for the entire continent. All forces are participating. Even if there are fewer Nassing Star Brilliance levels, it is estimated that many will be noisy in this noble evaluation. Although there are black and white knights in his team, Lin Ke is still under great pressure. Knock, knock, knock. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door, accompanied by John's inquiry. Master, the deep blue newspaper has been issued, and it contains detailed information on this noble review. Come in. Lin Ke said softly, and Liquor next to him immediately sat up straight. John, with a slicked back hair, and wearing a suit, walked in. John now looked like the handsome guys Lin Ke had seen in his previous life, young and energetic, confident, and elegant. A qualified butler. John was holding 2 stacks of paper in his hand, which was the deep blue newspaper. The deep blue newspaper was a newspaper issued by the Grand Duke of Deep Blue, and it usually contained some critical and condemning pages. The Grand Duke of Deep Blue himself was also famous for his strictness. Lin Ke took the newspaper and started reading. This time, the Noble Review Council chose a large plane, the farther plane. Lin Ke raised his eyebrows. Large plane? Generally speaking, large planes have a certain possibility of growing into a main plane like Nassing. However, after being discovered and plundered by Nassing, they basically lost the potential for continued growth, and could only become Nassing's blood-making machine. This large plane was one of the planes captured by Emperor Wumian when he went to the Star Realm of the Heavens. He had kept it, but was too lazy to develop it. This time, he threw it out. It was a large plane. It had complete laws, a complete biosphere, complete continents and oceans. There were countless resources in it. Many resources were just garbage or ordinary things in the eyes of the intelligent creatures in that plane. But in the eyes of the Nassing people, they might be very precious raw materials. Just like uranium and other things, they only have their unique value under the corresponding civilization and corresponding technology. With this plane as the competition venue, maybe he can find a lot of interesting things. Keep reading. The prizes for the Noble's evaluation this time are very generous, and the Houston plane that had leaked the news is also on the prize list. This time, the reward for the 11th place is the Houston plane. This is also the task given by his system. If you get the Houston plane, you can find mysterious materials. According to the nature of the system, it is estimated that there are some mysterious resources in the Houston plane. Oil, natural gas, coal, or uranium? Thinking of the mysterious resources, Lin Ke was a little excited. It seems that this time, I must get the 11th place. And the 10th place is a legendary star beast. Star beasts are a kind of magic beasts wandering in the void of the stars, and they are born with a strong affinity for the laws. The laws need to be comprehended in Nasang, but for star beasts, many laws can be extracted from their bodies. For many people who are not legendary, this is more valuable than the plane. Like many planes, the highest level has only produced 15 level strongmen, and such planes are not very useful for high level strongmen. The reward for the 10th place is a legendary star beast. This kind of star beast can be completely dissected by the butcher to obtain the complete legendary law. Which legend would think that he has mastered too many laws? Gods can only have one godhead and can only rely on the power of faith to accelerate the comprehension of the laws. Legends are different. Legends can accommodate many laws until they are melted into one and become the master. This is also the reason why many people do not take the path of gods. 9th place, 2 medium-sized secondary plane gods, which can be used for territory management and research, and their duties are harvest and reproduction. 2 secondary plane gods are really good. Whether it is to kill them to obtain the godhood or to use them in territory management, they are all very good. 8th place, 10 godhoods. 7th place, 6th place, 3rd place, a large plane. The plane is a large plane with sufficient laws. It has currently bred 13 gods, can be captured, and 3 legends, captured, all of which are secondary plane strength. The strength of a secondary plane legend is actually equivalent to a strong man of about level 15 in Nasang. Lin Ke was attracted by the reward for the 3rd place. What a big deal. Such a plane is enough for a person to become a god, or a legend, and it is still a relatively powerful one. Lin Ke exhaled and looked at the next one. 2nd place, the Duke and Noble Fiefdom of Nasang. Any location is optional. Duke Fiefdom? Lin Ke understands. The Duke's Fiefdom in Nasang means that more intelligent life forms in Nasang will be included in his command. If these intelligent life forms become professionals, they can conquer many planes in the future. As we all know, the female wild boars in Nasang are more beautiful than the noble princesses of the kingdoms in the secondary planes. Next, it's the first prize. The 1st place enters the Fearless Tower for 1 year. Lin Ke browsed slowly. The rewards for the top 20 were very generous, and there were some things he had never heard of. And this Fearless Tower. Unexpectedly, Lin Ke next to him exclaimed, full of disbelief, you can actually enter the Fearless Tower. What is the Fearless Tower? Lin Ke and John both looked over. They were very curious. Lin Ke looked at Lin Ke and John, hesitated for a moment and said, I heard this from my father. This is a tower cast by the sage Andrew. It is the lighthouse of the entire Nasang, guiding countless legends to find their way home. At the same time, the Fearless Tower is also the last defense of the entire human race. The abyss can be destroyed, Gila can be destroyed, but the Fearless cannot fall. The abyss can be destroyed, Gila can be destroyed, but the Fearless cannot fall. As soon as this sentence came out, Lin Ke and John felt a kind of determination from this sentence. This is the last defense of the human race. The lowest entry permission of the Fearless Tower for the human race is a starlight level. There is the most complete feedback there. As long as you have a brain, you may be able to comprehend the law. Lin Ke's eyes were full of longing, and then she looked at Lin Ke and said, of course. People who have made great contributions to the human race can also enter. I think you may be able to enter in the future, Lin Ke. A place to comprehend the law. Lin Ke also had some yearning in his eyes. It's a pity to let aliens enter this kind of Fearless Tower. There is no way. This time, it is estimated that the starlight will gather, and Lin Ke may be good enough to train his soldiers while saving his life. Just like what Emperor Wumian said. Lin Ke's most important thing now is to bring out his own knights. The 1st place in the nobles evaluation and the 2nd black and white knights who will dominate the continent in the future. The latter is obviously more important. Chapter 265 Fan Effect. Hot name. After reading the newspaper for a while, Lin Ke closed it. How is the preparation for the live broadcast I mentioned? Lin Ke asked John. Live broadcast. Live broadcast with a photo stone. The photostone is a product of magical mineral vein that can record some sounds in pictures. Lin Ke thought it was like film at the time. So over the years, he bought various photostone veins of all sizes and asked the Great Wilderness Tower to do relevant research. Finally, the live broadcast machine was invented before the radio was invented. In NASA, using the photostone and the engraved secret text, it can actually achieve an effect similar to that of electromagnetic waves. No, or the transmission frequency is higher than that of electromagnetic waves. However, this kind of secret text needs people above level 15 to engrave it. Only Lin Ke's newsstands and scholared wilderness throughout the continent can be equipped, and it has not yet reached the point of mass production, and then sold as a commodity. However, it is enough to start a live broadcast. There are already many people in the newsstand and scholared wilderness, and many people will definitely watch it at that time. You give the order. Remember to record the content of this time with the photostone, so that you can sell it later. Lin Ke instructed John. John also has the control of the scholared wilderness. It can be said that John is the person Lin Ke can trust with his back. Okay, young master. John nodded. And, they should be here soon, right? Lin Ke smiled. I contacted them a few days ago. Of course. John also smiled, and then reminded, in addition, young master, the Marquis of Giant Sword, the Earl of Blacklaw, and others want to see you. They came from their respective cities. Oh. Lin Ke raised his eyebrows. When did it happen? Just this morning. John said, they want to support you. Okay, then let's go and meet them. Lin Ke looked at Lin Ke, and Lin Ke nodded. Over the years, the Marquis of Giant Sword, the Earl of Ackley and others have also helped him a lot, and he fought side by side with them for a period of time when he was a child, so they can be regarded as comrades in arms. Although Lin Ke's identity has changed now, and he has become a rising star noble on the continent, his original intention has not changed. I just don't know how much they have changed. Thinking of this, Lin Ke and Lin Ke immediately stood up, put on their robes and went out. Greenleaf Juice Bar, the social area for nobles. Haha, Ackley, you are talking nonsense. I was the bravest one at the beginning. I was the one who ran the fastest. Well, I ran the fastest, but I was the strongest. Boasting, you are not as good as my son. Several loud voices were shouting there, and the sound was blocked by the partition, but those indecent actions still made people outside feel uncomfortable. However, when the barons, or pioneering knights outside, or the professionals who got rich by chance, and came to experience life, saw the noble emblems embroidered on the clothes of those loud voices, their faces changed from impatience to friendly and understanding, nodding and smiling. A Marquis of the Great Sword, an Earl of Ackley, an Earl of the Black Claw, and Garrows of the Azan family. Well, in fact, they didn't quarrel. Maybe they were true to their nature. Those little nobles cast kind eyes over there and looked for the young figure at the same time. In front of these nobles, there are various newspapers, provided free of charge by the Greenleaf Juice Bar, including the Deep Blue newspaper published by the Deep Blue Territory. You know, in this noble review, the most eye-catching nobles in the Gila Kingdom are only two earls. One is Earl Lin Ke and the other is Earl Tulip. Earl Tulip is okay. After all, he is famous for his achievements in plants. Earl Lin Ke is the real pillar. At the age of 6, he presided over the Warcraft War in the lava swamp. At the age of 9, he revised the laws and decrees of Azan. At the age of 10, he opened up the Great Wilderness City. At the age of 12, he opened up the industry throughout the law. At the age of 13, the scholared wilderness spread across the continent. At the age of 15, he was rich enough to rival a country. And at the age of 17, everyone knew the name of the Great Wilderness. Those who come to politics have father-in-law and mother-in-law such as the Emperor Wumian behind him, comrades in arms such as the Marquis of the Giant Sword, and business partners of many nobles. Those who come to business, they let the great priest of the goddess of wealth fall, and threaten to cultivate a god, and the endless wealth of the entire continent will continue to gather to him. They came with force. Not only did they have Azan's organized army and the master level ancestor Avance Wayne behind them, but they also started to preside over wars at the age of 6. Such a rising star chose to join the noble council at this time, which was undoubtedly exciting. I bet that Earl Lin Ke will definitely beat down the beasts of the Holy Life Alliance. A dog-headed professional looked at the newspaper in his hand with excitement on his lips. Judging from his accent, he should be a native of the Abyss. And the Everfrizz Council. Andrew's leg, those conifers are simply heretics. Kill all the conifers in the Everfrizz Council. The Abyss conifers are the only ones. A conifer was also very excited. It seemed that the people of the Everfrizz Council disgusted him. Not only them, many people in the Greenleaf Juice Bar saw the latest Deep Blue newspaper today, so they couldn't help but comment. Lin Ke, I like Lin Ke so much, I'm his loyal reader. Lin Ke's writing talent is okay, but his artistic talent is excellent. That kind of comics has created a genre. Art? That's because you don't know Lin Ke's talent for music and screenwriting. I bought The Great Wasteland photo stone once. There is a play called The Pianist that really fascinates me. A bunch of women. Lin Ke's leading the charge is The Romance of Men. Oh, damn. I want to follow him now. Have you heard of manufacturing? I have collected everything released by the Great Wasteland City. That's because you don't understand his attainments in governing the territory. Those decrees are so fascinating. In the discussion area, various alien races mixed with humans were discussing excitedly there, and from time to time, nobles who were quietly drinking juice outside came in to participate in the discussion. Lin Ke is really a genius, a rising star. Some people even predicted that within 200 years, Lin Ke will become a legend. 200 years to become a legend. How many star level people have lived for thousands of years without a breakthrough? It's a pity. I heard that other forces received the news in advance for this noble review and made preparations. Yes, there is nothing we can do. They knew the news in advance, but we can set the rules and location of the competition. That's right. Lin Ke also said that our human race is powerful when united, and many other races have not yet eliminated their bestiality. These people were chatting, and suddenly their eyes turned to the direction of the gate. A person who could not be ignored walked in from outside. The man had thick and smooth brown hair, a faint smile on his face, and delicate and resolute features, as if he had been baptized by milk, juice, blood, and fire at the same time. A noble with a unique temperament. Judging from his skin, this young noble must have grown up in a favorable environment, and had no shortage of food. Judging from his appearance, the elegance of this noble must have come from his good aristocratic etiquette education since childhood, and at the same time, that kind of fortitude must have been baptized by war. Judging from his momentum, he can have the strength of level 10 at a young age, which proves that his talent is not low. Immediately, some small nobles understood that this person must be a young man from a large noble family. They just didn't know which noble he was. At this time, the Marquis of the Giant Sword and others who had attracted a lot of attention just now stood up and walked out of the reception room. Ha ha ha, you're here. Boy, I haven't seen you for a long time. You're taller than me. Pa, you have goblin blood in your body. Who are you taller than? Son, come in and sit down. People outside originally thought that the family leaders were waiting for some nobles to discuss things, but they didn't expect that the one who came was Lin Ke! Exclamation mark. Lin Ke! Exclamation mark. Some nobles rubbed their eyes in disbelief. Some even stood up directly. Dear sir, welcome to the Greenleaf Juice Bar. Do you have an appointment? A maid stepped forward to ask the noble young man. Her movements were graceful and soft, and her cheeks were flushed. Lin Ke looked at the maid in front of him and smiled. Yes, ma'am, I'll go find Viscount Garros and the others. This maid was the one who received him when he played the bard Buck to inquire about the news. Last time, the maid was obviously afraid that the poor bard Buck had no money to spend, so she kindly reminded him. But this time, the maid in front of him blushed slightly and looked at Lin Ke's face like a pervert, with a shy look on her face. Okay, please follow me. The maid bowed gently and then led the way in front. I don't know if it was an illusion, but Lin Ke always felt that the maid walked strangely this time. Last time it was casual and relaxed, this time it was swaying and swaying. Lin Ke followed the maid into the store, and everyone's eyes focused on him, and Garros and the others also came to greet him. However, at this moment, a noble woman suddenly stood up and then walked up with her waist twisting like a water snake in the green water of the lava swamp, exhaling sweet words. Master Lin Ke, I like your book True Ring biography very much. Which woman doesn't want a man who loves her? Alas. The noble woman's mouth still had the fragrance of fruit juice, and she was wearing the ordinary version of the Dahuang brand rose-scented perfume. I wonder if I can feel the charge of Count Lin Ke once. As she said that, the noble woman glanced at Lin Ke not far behind Lin Ke and smiled. Princess Lin Ke is so cute. Then she slipped a small note into Lin Ke's hand without leaving a trace, and gently scratched his palm, and said in Lin Ke's ear, waiting for you. After saying these 3 words, the noble woman twisted her waist and walked away. Lin Ke didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and when he was about to continue walking forward, another person stopped Lin Ke. Count Lin Ke, my man has gone to patrol the secondary plane. He must be hanging out with the princess there. I want to take revenge on him. Can you help me? I think the author of Wolf Fangless must have a mace, right? It rained heavily on the 78th floor of the Abyss yesterday. I wonder if Count Lin Ke's place is big? This group of noble ladies and noble ladies came up to talk to Lin Ke like wolves and tigers, but they were extremely elegant, and then left in a hurry. This place doesn't look like a green leaf juice bar at all. There is no elegance or calmness. Instead, it is like a flaming tavern. The noble ladies and socialites suddenly swarmed, like new customers like dumplings, as if they wanted to be eaten in one bite. Seeing this, Garros and others over there didn't rush to come over. Instead, they pointed and watched Lin Ke suffer. And behind these noble ladies and socialites, there was another group of people. Count Lin Ke, I want to follow you. I'm willing to charge with you. A young man walked over nervously. He was just pursuing a noble lady and invited her to drink juice, but the noble lady ran to give Lin Ke a room number. But this is not important. He doesn't care. What he cares about is that this is Count Lin Ke, the one who leads the charge. I'm a knight of justice. A 3rd level knight. My philosophy is justice. I'm helping the weak and practicing justice. The boy looked at Lin Ke with admiration, expecting Lin Ke's praise. After all, his deeds are indeed praised by many weak people. Lin Ke did not perfunctorily treat the boy this time. Dreams and love should not be perfunctory, so he pondered for a moment before saying, perhaps, when you are willing to fight for true justice, you can come to me. This boy is too young and can be easily led astray. Perhaps only true awakening can know what justice is. True justice? The boy was puzzled. The weak should definitely be helped. The strong should definitely be bullied. What is strong and weak, and what is justice? Lin Ke said briefly. How do you define strong and weak and justice? A strong person is one with strong strength. A high level is one with strong power. What about justice? Killing is not good, but what if the person killed is a bad guy? What if that bad guy is your closest relative? Justice in behavior and justice in belief, justice in process and justice in result. People are very complicated. Some people have just intentions, but end up doing evil things. How do you define him? People and the world are complicated. Strong and weak, justice and evil, good and bad. The world is not black and white. Between black and white there are red, orange, red green, indigo, blue and purple. Lin Ke patted the thoughtful boy on the shoulder. I'll wait for you to become a true knight of justice. I don't quite understand it now. The boy raised his head, still with a thoughtful look on his face. But thank you Earl Lin Ke for your guidance. See you in the future, when I understand it. The boy was decisive, and left as he spoke. Lin Ke smiled. Perhaps he was moved by the boy's indomitable spirit and faith. Well said. You are worthy of being Earl Lin Ke. There is a big gap between a boy's ideal and reality. Justice. Haha, I had justice when I was a child, but I didn't have so many ideas after I founded my family. By the way, you must be curious about my family. My family's main business is the sale of Warcraft furs. Those who cheered, praised, and advertised were all cheering for Lin Ke's words. However, Lin Ke didn't want to waste time. Seeing that no one jumped out, he hurried into the private room. Haha. Now the name Lin Ke is really famous in the Abyss, isn't it? My great writer, great military strategist, great musician, great painter. Mr. Lin Ke. The Marquis of the Giant Sword opened his arms and hugged the 1.83 meter tall Lin Ke tightly, teasing him. Lin Ke hugged him, then smiled. I'm still the knight leading the charge. You all know that, haha. Then, everyone except Gero smiled at each other and felt that the years of fighting against Warcraft more than 10 years ago suddenly came to their minds. They are comrades in arms. Chapter 266. Live broadcast from the abyss. The great wasteland city is in an uproar. Haha, we call Gero's brother, and we call Lin Ke brother. Interesting. Count Blackclaw smiled and pointed at Lin Ke and Gero's. To each his own. I don't want to call Gero's uncle. Count Kingpin next to him laughed. You bunch of idiots. Don't try to take advantage of me. Gero's glared at them, and the two small mustaches on his upper lip trembled. My son is so outstanding. Why don't you just call him uncle? You are of the same generation as him, and you are all my juniors. Haha, ha ha ha. Gero smiled proudly, and the others were speechless. Marquis of Giant Sword said, okay, don't forget the main purpose of our visit this time. Lin Ke also hugged Count Blackclaw, Count Akali and others one by one, and looked at Marquis of Giant Sword curiously. What is the main purpose? About the nobles' evaluation? Yes. Marquis of Giant Sword's eyes were shining. About the nobles' evaluation. Marquis of Giant Sword pointed to the seats and motioned everyone to sit down. After everyone was seated, they exchanged pleasantries while waiting for the maid to serve some juice before they started to talk business. Lin Ke, this time we are here to launch a joint event. The Great Sword Count still looked cold and kept strangers away, but his voice was gentle. Lin Ke and the others were used to the Great Sword's poker face. Joint event? Lin Ke raised his eyebrows. You guys are joining together? What for? As long as it's okay, I support you. Joint events are similar to the activities of the Noble Alliance. Doing something together does not require the review of the Gila Kingdom's Deliberation Council, but it is not protected by the Gila Kingdom. For example, if two lords want to fight, they must submit a written application to the Gila Deliberation Council, and they can only fight if it is approved. If the Gila Lord and the Chief of the Holy Life Alliance want to fight, they must submit it to the Deliberation Council of the three forces of the Gila Kingdom, the Holy Life Alliance and the Everfrizz Council for review. Joint events are different. Sometimes nobles also need to exercise their right to join together. When some nobles reach a consensus on interests, they have the right to allow themselves, and their related stacker holders, to reject some arrangements from the top. Of course, the price is that when carrying out the joint activities, you will not be protected by the original forces. In other words, by exercising the right of joint activities, the other two major forces can take this opportunity to destroy these nobles who have signed the joint activities. Even so, Lin Ke also wants to help these comrades, if it is not a big deal. We exercise the right of joint activities mainly because of you. Earl Akali said with a smile. If someone outside wants to target you during the nobles' deliberation this time, and His Majesty Wumian is not suitable to come forward, we will go. We will go. Hearing these three words, Lin Ke was also slightly moved. He waved his hand. Everyone, this is too risky. Lin Ke drank a mouthful of the sour and refreshing King's plum juice, smiled and said, I have a master level as an ancestor. Who dares to come? We know, Lin Ke. The Great Sword Marquis said, but you have to know that there are many despicable means that you have never come into contact with. Garros also nodded, stroking his mustache and said, I have seen it. Some people will poison the upper reaches of the river, and some will directly use skills to change the geographical features and cause the castle to collapse. Yes, these little tricks are disgusting, and they have exploited the loopholes of the deliberation meeting. The Earl of Kingquan also pondered. We are all comrades in arms, and we are willing to take risks for you. The Earl of Kingquan was a taciturn person in the Warcraft war, but he was actually a warm-hearted person. The most difficult defense task was given to him at the beginning. Lin Ke thought about it, and it was true. And if the Great Sword and the others just issued a statement, it would be fine, as it would have a deterrent effect. There is the Master above, the Great Sword in the middle, and the Scarlet Wilderness below. Basically, Lin Ke can enter without any worries. Come on, let's not talk about this today. Let's talk about what happened in the past. This guy Garros doesn't believe in my role. You know, I brought the Black Claw Knight. Several people began to reminisce and chat while drinking juice. This is also the first time they have gathered together. In fact, it's not just them. During this period of time, many nobles came to the abyss. Some want to join the fun here and watch this kind of continental event. Some want to propose to join this noble review. After all, the human race does not have an advantage in this noble review. Of course, you can't join if you want to. After all, this is a set rule, set by Emperor Wumian himself. As for many other small nobles, they complain bitterly. The noble review is not only a feast for the promotion of nobles, but also an opportunity for those low-level professionals to become nobles in one fell swoop. Many low-level professionals who are not nobles have become small nobles through the noble review. Then, generation after generation, they will become lords from pioneer knights, and barons from lords, and then rise step by step. Many small nobles such as pioneer knights and lords also rely on the noble review to accumulate resources step by step. Lin Ke and his friends chatted for a while. In addition to reminiscing about the past, they also had some industrial exchanges with each other. For example, there are many metal veins in the territory of the Marquis of Giant Sword, and the trees of the Earl of Blacklaw are very flame resistant when made into charcoal. Later, after drinking juice, everyone waited together for the arrival of the noble review the next day. Today is the day of the noble review. Although Lin Ke learned about the changes in the noble review relatively late, but fortunately, the Great Wilderness newspaper had already made some preparations. After all, it was originally a Gila event, but now it has become a Nassing event. The original reporter Linoop has been upgraded, with more and more luxurious reporters, and there are several reporters. In addition, long before Lin Ke came, the newsstand, lottery office and Scholar Great Wilderness directly bought 3 veins of image stone and vigorously produced a batch of live image balls. The carving of these live image balls required 13 level 15 secret scribes, which cost a huge price and exhausted these people. Adding the original stock of live broadcast photo balls, the photo balls distributed to the branches were barely enough. At this time, all the people in the Great Wilderness City and Azan who could fly and run fast became messengers, postmen, and couriers, and began to distribute newspapers. The special issue of the People's Newspaper of the Great Wilderness. With the issuance of the special issue of the People's Newspaper of the Great Wilderness, the whole of Gila knew about this news. The Noble Council. The Noble Council held every 20 years has changed for some reason, resulting in the participation of the forces of the entire continent of Nassam. The whole continent. The common people who love to join in the fun, have a boring life, and have a lot of free time were immediately excited. These farmers who come to the city at any time and like to listen to the announcements of the announcements spread the news to the villages in the countryside. Layer by layer, in just 1 or 2 weeks, almost everyone in the entire Gila Kingdom knew about it. Before the official live broadcast began, each announcement office was crowded with people inside and outside, all crowded in front of the screen of the live broadcast photo ball. Thanks to the production and inventory, many nobles can watch the photo ball in their own castles or city lords' mansions. Of course, this costs a lot. And today, the live broadcast began. In the center of Dahuang City, the People's Square under the Dahuang Tower, there is a huge screen made of photo stone, and rows of people sitting on small wooden benches gather in front of it. Whether professionals or ordinary people, they all sit together happily, watching the photo stone screen. Now the photo stone is playing the drama Fighting the Earth, which is written by the well-known author Hong of Dahuang newspaper and adapted from Lin Ke's Pan Snake Ring. Everyone is excitedly discussing the upcoming live broadcast of the nobles' evaluation. After all, the soul of their Dahuang city is there. There are 2 people maintaining order on the field, but they don't have much work to do. The citizens of Dahuang are very conscious. They used to be either farmers exploited by nobles, or low-level professionals exploited by mercenary guilds, or slaves without human rights. Now, they can sit here after dinner to cool off, and take a half day off, to watch the live broadcast. They are 10,000 times happier than before. Now, here, everyone is equal. Whether it is a professional or an ordinary person, there are many ways to measure whether you are worthy of respect. For example, 100 consecutive victories in the arena, a knowledge expert in the library, or a famous crosstalk actor in the wonderful land. For example, you are a school teacher, an employee of a dessert shop, a nurse in the hospital, a sanitation worker in the city hall, a security guard in the community. You are all worthy of respect. Because these are what Earl Lin Ke preached. Different from other lords and nobles. Some of the distorted values preached by other lords and nobles are logically unworkable. And the values preached by Earl Lin Ke are what everyone agrees with and abides by from the bottom of their hearts. Now, everyone has something called self-esteem. If people are still needed to maintain order, it is simply an insult to their identity as citizens of the great wilderness. And high in the sky, a cloud of fog is hidden in the clouds, and a pair of beautiful eyes are looking at the big screen below. It is the Misty Princess. Lin Ke and Lin Ke were leaving, and AOF was leaving too. Solika's sister, the Mist Banshee, was asked to guard the Great Wasteland City. The things that Lin Ke made are quite interesting. The Mist whispered, and she bought a lot of photo stones at home, on which were various performances produced by the Azin troupe. Now, everyone in the Azin troupe is a professional. Either a singer or an actor. Either an author or a screenwriter. These professions invented by Lin Ke were well inherited by them. Because they can perform in the wonderful land at any time, they are promoted quickly. At this time, the people of the Azin troupe also gathered together, watching themselves performing on the big screen, talking and laughing. Coke. Who wants to drink the latest product? Coke. 3 coins for 2 cups. Tanghilu. Old Joseph's Tanghilu. 1 coin for a string. Lucky sour fruit cake. The lucky sour fruit cake that Princess Mushu likes. Next to them, there were vendors walking through the gaps between the seats and hawking their wares, and those who were interested would buy them. The Azanan coin is a paper currency with the unique aura of the financial high priest Kanako. It is convenient and safe. The purchasing power is about 1 coin is equivalent to 5 copper coins. Give me 2 cups of Coke. A catman walked up to the vendor and handed over 3 $1 Azanan coins with a picture of the Great Library and a big one in Nasan language. Miss Xiaoguoran, you and Leo Ren are watching the live broadcast. The vendor took the banknotes and stuffed them into his bag very familiarly, then handed over 2 glass cups of Coke and 2 bamboo straws. You know, the recycling station is at number 186 Azanan Avenue. 10 glasses can return 3 yuan coins. Yeah. Xiaoguoran nodded. She knew all these rules. All the glasses for drinks would be sent to the river and cleaned by special water monsters, so they were relieved. Holding 2 drinks, Xiaoguoran walked back to his seat. Leo Ren also bought 2 candied haws and a cotton candy. Come. Leo Ren handed over the candied haws happily, then took a cup of Coke and took a sip happily. This Coke is really delicious. It's worthy of being a product of Dahuan. Look how happy you are. You even have some fat. Xiaoguoran glanced at the fat on Leo Ren's belly and joked. It was 8 pieces before, and now it's only 1 piece. It's a bit of a loss. 8 pieces became 1 piece, which is indeed a bit of a loss. Hasn't our life gotten better? Leo Ren scratched his head, put his arm around Xiaoguoran's waist, and gently stroked her soft and smooth tail. We must thank Master Lin Ke very much. What are you doing? Xiaoguoran blushed, then pulled his tail back and said, Count Lin Ke said that, if we live a good life, that's the greatest thanks to him. That's right. An auntie next to her echoed, if you ask me, the one who should become that kind of god the most should be our Master Lin Ke. Are you new here? An uncle next to her glanced at the auntie and seemed to have a bad temper. It is said that Master Lin Ke will become a god. Who are you cursing? Ah. The auntie didn't quite understand and said embarrassedly, I'm a new applicant. I was in the village east of Azin's territory before. No wonder. The uncle showed a look of realization and then said, if you have time, go to the adult class for tutoring. It's free. Today I will tell you that the difference between this legend and a god is huge. The uncle and auntie were popularizing science. If Lin Ke was here, he would definitely have an illusion. That is, just like in the previous life, many uncles often have a very deep understanding of the international situation and national policies, and they speak secretly, just like this uncle. Xiaoguoren and Leo Ren would occasionally interrupt the auntie to make her understand the meaning, until the auntie finally understood the difference between gods and legends. Not long after, the screen suddenly changed. The original series stopped directly, and a woman holding a metal microphone appeared. Ms. Bingbing. This is Ms. Bingbing. Yes, yes. I like her. She is my favorite among the reporters. The weather is hot, but my heart is cold. Everyone was boiling, staring with wide eyes. And the woman on the screen of the photo stone also spoke. Dahong live. Dahong live. Good afternoon to all the audience friends. Today is the day of the Nobles Review. I am Reporter Bingbing. This is the first live broadcast in the history of Nasanj, and it is also my first live broadcast. I hope I can bring you the most effective and real commentary. Sorry everyone, I have been crazy busy these 2 days. I stayed up late to write today, and I will stay up as long as I can. More updates, more updates, more updates. In addition, chapter 275 was blocked. I reposted it. See the table of contents. Chapter 267, Contest, the collision of laws and visions. This is what I know so far. Next, we will turn the screen to the bottom of the abyss. Ms. Bingbing is a descendant of a human and a tundra giant, so she looks fresh and beautiful. At the same time, her giant blood makes her tall and very elegant. How is the effect? Bingbing looked at her partner who was holding the live broadcast photo ball over there. Nothing wrong just now, right? This is the first time in history. Bingbing was so nervous that her palms were sweating. Too nervous. This is her first time to appear in front of the whole continent, and it is also an unprecedented live broadcast format for NASM. It would be a lie to say that she is not nervous. In the past, she only appeared in the newspaper once, and that was when she was selected as one of the top 10 outstanding young people in Dahong City. This time, there are many people responsible for the live broadcast, including various photographers, writers, etc., and she is the only one who is on camera. And as soon as it was over, she couldn't wait to ask. Very good, your smile is great. Her partner gave her a thumbs up. Bingbing breathed a sigh of relief, and then she felt something swarming towards her. She immediately closed her eyes. Andrew's leg. Feedback. Before she could finish her words, Bingbing closed her eyes and fell silent, as if she was receiving a lot of feedback. A huge amount of feedback. Bingbing, who was originally at level 13, had been stuck at a bottleneck for many years. Today, it seemed that she would break through. Bingbing's partner was also very happy for her. As the seconds passed, her partner was both happy and surprised. After all, 3 seconds was already a long time. However, when 10 seconds passed, her partner began to be shocked. When half a minute passed, her partner began to look terrified. So long? Exclamation mark. The length of the feedback is related to the amount of feedback. Such a long feedback. They still have to broadcast live. The introduction of the people from various forces that will appear later needs to be introduced by Bingbing one by one. The partner knows nothing about the people from those forces, and Bingbing knows them all by heart. The partner panicked. The feedback from level 1 is okay, but Bingbing's feedback is at least a huge amount of feedback from level 5. Too bad. And he didn't want to disturb the feedback reception. After all, it was a good thing. But just as he started to panic, Bingbing opened her eyes, and a light flashed in them. My bottleneck has reached the epic level. Epic, level 18. Exclamation mark. His partner's eyes widened. At this time, the recording ball in his partner's hand lit up slightly, so he quickly gestured to Bingbing and opened the recording ball. After all, Bingbing was a professional of level 10, and she got into the state in an instant. With a smile on her face, she picked up the microphone and said to the camera, "Dear audience, I believe you have seen that those are the nobles who will join the Noble Review this time. They are distributed in a total of 897 layers of the abyss. Next, I will briefly introduce each noble who will participate in the Noble Review this time." Bingbing had already memorized the information of each noble in her heart, whether it was inside or outside Gila. And just at this time, the voice of Emperor Wumian spread throughout the abyss. The Gila Noble Review begins today. The voice spread throughout the abyss, powerful and vigorous. At the same time, a huge white light column rose from the bottom of the abyss and shone all the way to the sky. Finally, the beam of light seemed to be blocked by some barrier and hit the first layer of the abyss. Then, above the first layer, that is, on the ground, an extremely large teleportation array appeared. All nobles, enter the teleportation array, and the nobles' deliberation begins. The voice of Emperor Wumian came again. Suddenly, countless people in the abyss moved. The abyss is circular from top to bottom, and the bottomless hole in the middle is protected by barriers to prevent people from slipping and falling. At this time, the barrier automatically unlocked, and those who participated in the noble deliberation, if they could not fly, could be teleported up by standing in the light. A loud deer cry sounded. Then, the people of the Everfrozen Council appeared. 6 ice crystal giant deer, 3 frost wolves, 5 coniferous tree people, 2 highland dwarves and a tall female human with white skin stepped out of a certain layer of the abyss, and each of them had a law vibrating on their bodies. Law. The law of the star level. They are about to master a whole law, and they feel that they can be promoted to legend at any time. These 17 star levels went all the way up from more than 800 layers, and various law phenomena appeared around them. Behind them, there were 60 star level players of different races. Almost all the star level players of the Everfrozen Council were here. Star level players, dear audience, this is the team of the Everfrozen Council. 77 star level players. Bing Bing's face became serious, and her smile disappeared. As far as I know, there are more than 2,000 people who can participate this time, and the highest level that can participate is star level. A big deal. This is star level. Legendary reserve. The Everfrozen Council is definitely out in full force. 77 star level players walked up slowly and gracefully. The people of the abyss gathered at the edge to watch these contestants in the bottomless void. Hey, that's the Earth Bear Counselor from the Delta Frost Belt. I didn't expect that I could only follow behind. Look at that frost giant deer with the law of fire. It is said that he is the descendant of the chief of the current Everfrozen Council and has excellent bloodline. That human race should be the Snow Fairy, right? I heard that she has the bloodline of the Snow Fairy. Very powerful, comparable to our prince and princess. The people were very excited, and some professionals who had gone out on adventures would say that they had seen it. And Ms. Bing Bing was also explaining at this time. This is the team of the Everfrozen Council. Among them, we need to pay attention to the following strong men. The frost giant deer with only one antler is the descendant of the chief of the current Everfrozen Council. That one is the Earth Bear Counselor who has been confronting the Grand Duke of the Mountains on the northern border for many years. The Conifer tribe loves peace. This star level Conifer man should be the natural sage of the Moss Stone Treehouse. Bing Bing knew all the people from various forces this time. After all, the Scholared Wilderness collected most of the information and could find out who came to the abyss. As the 77 star level and 2000 high level professionals of the Everfrozen Council walked upwards, 5 phantoms of strange visions appeared on them. They were the 5 members of the Everfrozen Council. Frost Giant Deer, Highland Dwarf, Human, Frost Wolf and Conifer Man. 5 huge phantoms emerged, and the entire abyss trembled under this momentum. Demonstration. This is a move similar to flexing muscles. However, at this moment, a dull sound rang out. Boom. Drum. This is the sound of drums. The war sacrifice of the Holy Life Alliance. A drum sound immediately broke the team of the Everfrozen Council into pieces, and they barely stayed beside the teleportation array on the top floor of the abyss, as if waiting for something. Then, an undead bird turned into a vision of a sun bathing in fire, and soared into the sky, directly breaking through the phantoms of the 5 members of the Everfrozen Council, and making a loud bird cry. Cry. The sun god, poor oh boy eater. At the same time, a shadow appeared in the abyss. It was a ferocious elephant head that howled to the sky, with 2 leather drums on its shoulders, that sounded automatically after being struck. Dong dong dong. Dong dong dong. The continuous drum beats were dense and rapid, full of the flavor of ancient wilderness. One by one, tribes with different heads appeared. They were mainly minotaurs, and the lowest level was above level 15. Minotaur, Elephant Man, Wild Boar Man, Cat Man, Eagle Man, Rat Man. Life with strong aura appeared in the form of tribes, wearing simple and powerful animal skins. This is the participating team of the Holy Life Alliance. These tribes are said to have a battle formation that is very powerful. Dear audience, look, the aura of the Minotaur chief is too strong. Ms. Bing Bing was still introducing. As she introduced, the majestic Minotaurs rushed up to the drum beats, and there were people from other tribes behind them. There were a total of 105 chiefs of the Star Glory level. As expected of the Holy Life Alliance, this ancient country has a great heritage. Bing Bing's expression became serious. Don't worry, Earl Lin Ke of Argilla Kingdom will appear soon. What I want to tell you here is that the most powerful one so far is actually the Holy Life Alliance. Although our Emperor Wumian is extremely powerful, we still need to work hard. Of course, thinking of our Earl Lin Ke, thinking of our powerful nobles such as the Grand Dukes, and Marquesses, Argilla Kingdom will definitely become the first in Nassam. Bing Bing stated the actual situation, but did not forget to give the audience on the opposite side of the shadow ball a little confidence and cheer them up. However, many of the audience felt a sense of despair. Professionals are powerful enough in the eyes of ordinary people, and star level professionals are like stars in the sky. There are so many of them in these two countries. Unlike the elegance and indifference of the Everfrozen Council, the group of people from the Holy Life Alliance rushed up like ancient beasts and stood on the opposite side of the Everfrozen Council. Haha, you old dear, my father has broken through to the legendary level, and you are still staying in Xinghu? The Tauran chieftain who had talked to Lin Ke's Buckvest was in the lead, and in front was the Frost Giant Deer with only one antler. HMPH Jr. The Frost Giant Deer snorted coldly and closed his eyes to avoid looking at the Tauran chieftain. At this time, the Tauran chieftain's aura was surprisingly Xinghu level. It was obvious that he had hidden his strength when he met Lin Ke before. On the left, a group of ancient beasts appeared above the heads of each tribe. On the right, endless life and the cold law complemented each other. The law visions on both sides collided wildly, and no one could do anything to anyone. However, it can still be seen that the phantoms of those ancient beasts are more powerful. Where are Argilla people? Yes, we have Earl Lin Ke in Argilla Kingdom. And Earl Tulip is also here. Alas, they are just earls. It would be nice if our dukes also participated. This is unfair. Why? This is the rule set by His Majesty Wumian. Who knows what he thinks? The people were in an uproar, discussing the two major forces excitedly. At this time, some other small forces also appeared. For example, the people of the Far West countries. That is a chaotic country with more than 100 forces, small countries with few people, and years of war. The people of these forces can't even gather 2,000 people. Most of them are the original 50 or so people, and a few are only 3 or 5 people. However, each of them has a strong aura, because of years of killing. The strong murderous aura on their bodies is very obvious. The people of the Far West countries were silent, such as the lizardmen, humans or other races, and they did not try to stir up their auras, but slowly transmitted up with the light, emitted from the bottom. After the Far West countries, waves of waves sounded. In the eyes of the Abyss people, a wave swept up, and the originally empty and dark abyss instantly became like the abyss of the sea, filled with seawater. At the same time, the stars in the sky were reflected in the water, and the phantoms of the stars emitted fluorescence in the water. The ocean of stars and waves. The mermaid-like prince of stars walked on the waves, and soared up along the phantom of the ocean current, handsome and unrestrained. The sea embraces everything. The Prince of Stars looked indifferent and arrogant, and his voice was like the singing of a deep-sea siren. However, his appearance caused an uproar. He is a legend. Why would a legend appear? That's right. Cheating. Brother is so handsome, why can't he? The people were stunned at first, and then cursed, but some Abyss people seemed to be female fans, defending Prince of Stars. According to the rules, Prince of Stars cannot join. Ms. Bing Bing also explained seriously, and her voice was transmitted to the entire Nasan continent through the live broadcast stone. Before the whole continent could react, the cold voice of Prince Xingchen came. I will be the one to project the reflection in this noble review. As he spoke, Prince Xingchen waved his hand, and a light curtain appeared above the abyss, on which appeared more than 200 names in the Nasan language, one of which was Lin Ke's. After he finished speaking, Prince Xingqian stood aside with his hands behind his back, not saying a word. Some of those people didn't understand, especially those who were watching the live broadcast in various places. Bing Bing, on the other hand, showed a look of sudden realization, and explained, as we all know, one of Prince Xingqian's rules is the reflection rule. His move is to broadcast the progress of each contestant in real time like a live broadcast. As soon as these words came out, the people watching the live broadcast suddenly realized, wow. Prince Xingqian stood on the teleportation array outside the top layer of the abyss, and glanced at Bing Bing who was broadcasting, live in the lower layer of the abyss without leaving a trace. Interesting. Prince Xingqian narrowed his eyes, and realized that the live broadcast also contained some reflection rules. He stood with his hands behind his back, and every scale of his fishtail radiated a charming glow, as if reflecting the laws of the stars. Mysterious, dreamy, profound, handsome, charming, aloof. Many women, mothers, and daughters were dizzy. HMPH, damn demon. The Tauran chieftain looked at the flamboyant Prince of Stars and couldn't help but mutter in a voice that everyone could hear. How dare you be so presumptuous in my territory? Prince of Stars glanced at him lightly, and the Tauran chieftain's face turned pale. You. The Tauran warrior behind the Tauran chieftain glared, and was about to speak, but was immediately suppressed by the phantom of the sea water that filled the sky and the earth, and could not speak. Suddenly, the entire abyss fell into silence, including the more than 800 layers of the abyss, as if immersed in the boundless ocean. This momentum was frightening and depressing. Silence, depth, horror and unknown. The abyss seemed to have turned into a deep sea. Even Ms. Bing Bing felt a suffocation coming, as if her throat was strangled. She could hardly speak in front of the camera, and uttered a few words with a pale face. This is a legend. Legend. A Prince of Stars, overwhelming the entire abyss. In the absence of other legends, no one in the entire abyss can defeat him. In front of the camera, some people also raised questions, such as in the Great Wasteland City, in front of the big screen. Why didn't the Sleepless Emperor fight back? How could he be so powerful there? Xiaoguoran was indignant, and many grumpy uncles and aunts were also cursing. Damn mermaid. Damn Prince of Stars. Andrew's leg. I'm going to buy 10 fish from Little Barks's house this afternoon. Damn. Too hateful. Too angry. Woo woo. My Bing Bing's face turned pale with fear. The people under the Great Wasteland Tower were furious, but their voices obviously couldn't be transmitted, and the live broadcast was one way. And in a huge stone palace at the bottom of the abyss. Brother, I'm going to overthrow Star Sea. The Duke of Mountain, who was taller and more burly than Emperor Wumian, slapped his thigh and jumped up from the ground. Sit down. Emperor Wumian, who was standing next to him, glared and slapped the Duke of Mountain back with a slap, then said calmly, why are you in such a hurry? It's just a small fish. You can leave when the Sea King comes. On the side, the Duke of Deep Blue had a calm face and pondered for a moment before saying, Your Majesty, instead of letting Earl Lin Ke bear so many praises, it would be better to let Trang and the others. Wumian took a deep look at Deep Blue. You must remember that you only have one chance. As soon as this incoherent remark came out, the Duke of Deep Blue immediately fell silent. Wumian stopped looking at him and looked at the 5-colored dragon mother. What is that kid Lin Ke still doing? Why is he dilly-dallying? His voice was also a little impatient. I don't know. The 5-colored dragon mother was helpless. She knew that Wumian himself couldn't stand the Prince of Stars, but it should be soon. As they were talking, the abyss changed again. Andrew's leg. I really want to break through to the legendary level and fight him. In the air, the Tauran chieftain rubbed his chest with a grin. Chieftain, even if you break through, you can't beat Prince Xingqian. The Tauran warrior behind the Tauran chieftain said in a muffled voice. The Tauran chieftain glared and patted the warrior on the back of his head. You are the only one who talks too much. At this time, Prince Xingqian ignored the whispers below and looked up at the sky. After a while, his cold voice spread throughout the abyss. There are still 10 minutes left. If the time is up, those who have not arrived will be deemed to have given up. 10 minutes. Suddenly, there was an uproar in the abyss. So tight! Exclamation mark. However, as soon as Prince Xingqian finished speaking, an ordinary but firm, soft but sonorous voice came from the bottom of the abyss. People. This voice seemed like a person whispering softly, and it seemed like millions of people were shouting in unison. This voice seemed to have aroused a certain emotion in everyone's heart, driving the hearts of all the people in the abyss. As the voice came out, the deep sea area, that was originally as unchanging and bottomless as the deep sea, and the deep sea phantom, that suppressed the phantom of the ancient giant beast and the phantom of the cold air, suddenly changed. The most intense, purest, most monotonous, most complex, and most vast red appeared. That bit of red, like a bit of lava, burned weakly and clearly on the seabed. This bit of lava was like a bit of flame in the ice and snow, small and weak, but also tenacious and strong. At the same time, the previous voice came out again. This time the voice was with a kind of overwhelming power. People. Suddenly, the red burning point swept up and covered the sky. It was like a bit of lava in the wheat field in autumn, which was blown by the wind and spread. The red point became more and more intense, and in a short time it dyed the entire deep sea red. People. 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 The creator of history. The recorder of time. A little bit of lava can burn the sky. Great. Unyielding. Kind. Waves of singing came, like chanting, and like reciting poems. This is a song. Sophie's latest composition, Song of Destiny. As the song sounded, a cry rose to the sky. Cry. This is the sound of the phoenix. Along with the appearance of the phoenix, 7 or 8 demon beast kings rose from the bottom of the abyss, overwhelming everything with their mighty pressure. The deep sea phantom shattered in an instant, leaving only the raging lava fire. The weak point turned into lava that burned everything. However, the intelligent races in the abyss did not feel the slightest bit of heat, but instead felt waves of warmth. For example, Ms. Bingbing, her cheeks had returned to redness at this time, no longer pale just now. It was not just the deep sea phantom. When the red spot spread, the killing intentions of the chaotic countries in the extreme west burst like bubbles, and the coldness of the Everfrozen Council dissipated like a gust of wind. Only the phantom of the ancient beast from the Holy Life Alliance shrank back with a BIU when the melting point of the red flame just appeared. The Tauran chieftain muttered, "That kid is very evil, who wants to fight him head on?" At this time, the Beast Kings were already standing quietly at the top of the abyss in the shape of a 5-pointed star, as if waiting for something. Then, accompanied by the increasingly rapid singing, a ball of fire shot up into the sky, like a meteorite that was about to pierce the sky. In this ball of lava fire, you can vaguely see humans riding lions. On both sides of the lava, on one side, there was a turbulent stream rushing up, and inside it were Geros and his 5 followers riding on the green water giant snake. On the other side were 50 black and white knights entangled in black and white. The black and white light and the torrent flew up with the lava flame, followed by other human figures. For example, Earl Tulip followed the lava flame, and was easily transported up with 50 people by the white light, that reached the top of the abyss. The same was true for the other Gila nobles, who followed the lava flames to the top of the abyss one by one. This is Count Lin Ke. Sure enough, we in the abyss are the strongest. Yes, we in Gila are the strongest. The people were extremely excited, and the depression they had felt before was swept away. At this time, Lin Ke stopped at the highest point, and rode out on the lava lion with a firm look in his eyes. His voice resounded throughout the abyss, and along with the live broadcast, it resounded throughout the entire continent. I will lead the charge. More chapters. The 15th extra chapter. As promised, more chapters. There will be more next. Please give me a monthly ticket. Chapter 268 High Profile. High Profile. It's so cool. Next to Xiao Guoran, Leo Ren slapped his thigh hard and roared. Xiao Guoran was in the same situation. Her cheeks flushed, and the cat's tail behind her was shaking wildly. It's so cool. Originally, the people of Dahuan were oppressed and couldn't breathe, but now they don't feel oppressed at all. Their Earl Lin Ke, their spiritual leader, the pillar of their Dahuang city. So strong. A mere prince of stars. Ha. In front of the screen of Dahuang city, citizens cheered and cheered one by one, boosting the mood. This makes all the people of Dahuang, Aznan and Gila feel that we are not bad at all. At this time, Bing Bing was also excitedly reporting, "This is Lin Ke Shao. This is Count Lin Ke, the count personally appointed by the Wumian Emperor of the Gila Kingdom. Count Lin Ke was born in the Azanan territory. At that time, the Azanan territory was surrounded by enemies, and the monsters were eyeing the lava swamp. Our Count Lin Ke was only 6 years old at that time. Bing Bing, who didn't talk much before, became a chatterbox at this time. He started talking about Lin Ke's birth, and his tone was excited, as if he was proud of it. Listening to Bing Bing's introduction, the people of Dahuang and Azanan felt their hearts surge, and there was also a sense of honor and pride of growing up with the Lord. The other Gila people also looked refreshing when they heard it. This is the Earl officially appointed by their Gila kingdom, a native Gila person. Who dares to say that Gila has no one? Who dares to say that the Holy Life Alliance must be the best on the continent? Who dares to say that the ancient forces must be powerful? Look at our Count Lin Ke. With a level 10 body, he is on par with legends. In addition to the human race, some other areas of Nasan are also familiar with this name. Lin Ke, the 36th level of the abyss. The ice and snow on the snowy mountain are melting, and 2 giants are walking down from the snowy mountain. Not far from him, a gathering place of abyss snow wolves are surrounding the photo stone to watch the picture, howling while watching the picture. The 2 giants swept their mental power and saw the edge of this level of the abyss, the pillar of light that shot up into the sky and the red color that swept across the abyss. Azan's kid has made it. The 2 giants grinned, and their bodies flashed a few times, and they came to the edge of the abyss a few thousand meters away, sat down, and looked up leisurely. The 96th level of the abyss, in the forest. His fate is so terrible, and Woomian, that kid, still wants me to help. He is really tired of living. A cursing voice came from a treehouse, and it was the voice of astrologer. Damn it, I'm going to talk to that guy Andrew. Why does that guy have the knowledge bloodline? At the same time, at the bottom of the abyss, in a small courtyard full of bad song and flowers, a white-haired old lady was pruning branches, and a middle-aged man followed her. Madam, are we not going to do anything? The middle-aged man was anxious. This time the noble's evaluation will last for 3 years. If Lin Ke was here, he would definitely recognize that this middle-aged man was the supervisor of the research institute who went to the great wilderness with the group of mathematicians before. Of course, he is now the former supervisor. No hurry, no hurry. The white-haired old lady kindly sprinkled water on the flowers in front of her, her body trembling, and her hands shaking a little. But, Madam Gardener, it will be too late for us in 3 years, the former supervisor said a little anxiously. In front of him was the 3rd concubine of Emperor Woomian, Madam Gardener. The white-haired old lady turned her head tremblingly, glanced at the former supervisor, and smiled. It's too late. So what? The former supervisor was suddenly, as if he fell into an ice cellar. Flowers are always just flowers, before they grow into towering trees. The gardener smiled kindly, and fine drops of water sprinkled from the flower pot in her hand, like silver needles. On the flowers she watered, a painful and twisted human face appeared. Look, these flowers can't grow into big trees, and now I have to pick them, and make delicious desserts. Lin Ke went straight up to the top floor, confronting the teams of the Holy Life Alliance, the Everfrizz Council, and the Far West countries. But no one dared to burst out their momentum recklessly. It was really that Lin Ke was too weird in the battle between will and vision. Even as strong as the Sleepless Emperor, he could only suppress and break everything. But Lin Ke was directly infected like a virus. Visions like cold air and killing were directly assimilated. The more tough bloodlines of ancient beasts will be directly broken. The Tauran chieftain had heard from the Rat Lord before, so he chose to avoid it at the first opportunity. You know, let alone these star level, even legends and overlords lost to Lin Ke in the first battle of wills at the bottom of the abyss. And that was a group fight, a group of people's will against Lin Ke alone. Although the starting point was not actually like this, it ended up being a group fight. The key is that a group fight can't beat that weird red color. So the Tauran chieftain would not go head to head with Lin Ke, not to mention that he still had something given by the Bard Buck and wanted to form an alliance with Lin Ke. Thinking of this, the Tauran chieftain immediately cracked his mouth and smiled at Lin Ke. Lin Ke smiled slightly. Hello. Then, he looked at the tribes behind the Tauran chieftain. His eyes were like knives. Rat people. Wild boar people. After entering, he had to give these two races a good beating and force them to tell him the intention of the Rat Lord and the Sun God, to kill him and AOF. Of course, no matter what the intention was, the Rat Lord and the Sun God must die. Now it was just a matter of their minions. Now that everyone is here, the nobles' deliberation officially begins. Prince Xingqian had a blank expression on his face. He did not look at Lin Ke's team, but gave an order to announce the start of the nobles' deliberation. Whoever blocks me, I will kill him. Gods will kill gods, and legends will kill legends. Lin Ke glanced at the others calmly and spoke first. And he intentionally or unintentionally revealed the black and white knights behind him. Black and white knights. Lin Ke just wanted to be high profile. High profile. High profile. He had two intentions. One was to boost the morale of the Gila Kingdom. You know, at this time, morale is very important. In the previous life, one Han could defeat 5 Hu people. This was not only a material suppression, but also a spiritual suppression. The Han people have accumulated prestige for a long time, so the Hu people are humble and afraid when they see the Han people. And Lin Ke wants to do this kind of accumulation now, so that people from other forces will be afraid of Gila in the future, and then avoid him, become afraid, and then become terrified. What a murderous aura. After hearing Lin Ke's words, the lizardmen headed by the far west countries brightened their eyes, and were happy to see the prey. But when they saw the black and white knights behind Lin Ke, they restrained themselves. Black and white knights. If one black and white knight is attacked, then the next time a group of black and white knights will be dispatched. The nature of the black and white knights is inherited from the Emperor Wumian, who is domineering and protective. What a domineering declaration. The one-horned ice crystal giant deer sneered. When the Emperor Wumian and I were both princes, he would not be so rude. People from the same period. Lin Ke looked at the ice crystal giant deer curiously. Where is your horn? Oh, by the way, when I was a child, Lin Ke gave me a nice sculpture of deer horn, which I boiled into soup. Could it be yours? Deer horn soup! Exclamation mark. The originally indifferent eyes of the ice crystal giant deer became sharp, and bloodshot appeared around the pupils. The people of the Everfrizz Council behind him stepped back a few steps. They all knew that the most humiliating thing for the one-horned ice crystal giant deer was that it was broken by the Prince Wumian. However, the Prince Wumian became the Emperor Wumian, who dominated the world, but the one-horned ice crystal giant deer still hovered at the starlight level. It can only be said that intelligent life is different from intelligent life, and the world is uneven. The one-horned giant deer thought that Wumian had been looking for an opportunity to kill him, and the only thing he could do was to endure it, so he exhaled a stream of steam from his mouth and nose, and then closed his eyes. Heh. Lin Ke smiled and looked at the ocean of stars and waves again. The leader was the star reef fishman who had coveted Lin Ke's artifact fragment Rottenwood block before. However, no matter how Lin Ke looked at him, he ignored Lin Ke. Obviously he was well taught by the Prince of Stars. No matter how much Lin Ke used his vision to humiliate the fishman of the star reef, the fishman ignored Lin Ke. Unable to demonstrate here, Lin Ke could only look at the people of the far west countries. The far west countries were in great chaos, but there was no doubt that the most powerful tribe was the lizardmen. Hi, Your Highness Lin Ke. The leading lizardman held a dagger in both hands, with a wisp of black air lingering on it. Lizardman Great Oasis, welcome you. The leader of the Lizardman Great Oasis, who was famous for killing, looked at Lin Ke kindly at this time. Well, he couldn't show off his power. Lin Ke could only nod. Hello, Dahuang City and Azanen also welcome your arrival. After Lin Ke answered the Lizardman, he began to look at the people of other forces, one by one. He always hoped that someone would jump out and let him show off his power, and then establish his power to boost the morale of the Gila Kingdom and the human race. Cool. It was so cool. At this time, Earl Tulip looked at Lin Ke in front of him, and his fat cheeks were flushed with excitement. He envied Lin Ke so much that he even wanted to replace him. But he was not Wumian's son-in-law. Even if he was Wumian's son-in-law, he would have to be divided. The sons-in-law of the princesses such as Lady Tide, Dark Girl, Mist Banshee, and the son-in-law of the tree-herding Banshee were also different. The tree-herding Princess Lin Ke was the one who was most like Emperor Wumian in character, appearance, and temper, and naturally she was the most favored by Wumian. And it was said that Earl Lin Ke had rejected Princess Lin Ke in every possible way at the beginning, and it was Princess Lin Ke who chased Lin Ke for 10 years. I have to admit that this is also the inconsistency of the world. I must follow Earl Lin Ke closely in the future. Well, why don't I join the Great Wasteland City? But I heard that it was the tomb of the nobles. What should I do? Earl Tulip secretly thought about his own way in his heart and considered the issue of whether to stay or leave after coming out. At this time, Garros also looked at the 5 followers on his left and right. His eyebrows were flying and the mustache on his upper lip was about to fly up. He winked at the 5 followers, meaning, look at my son, this is my seed, my Azan's bloodline. I'm awesome. The others were fine, but Lin Ke's aunt, Garros' sister, glanced at Garros helplessly, meaning, yes, this is your son. It's unbelievable that a fool like you can give birth to a little cutie like Lin Ke. Lin Ke's aunt was one of Garros' core followers at the beginning. After that, you can go in. Prince Xingqian looked at Lin Ke with indifferent eyes. Thank you, Prince Xingqian. Lin Ke smiled, neither humble nor arrogant. He looked around and then said to the Warcraft kings, you go back and guard the great wilderness. As you command. The green water giant snake and other Warcraft kings bowed their heads in submission and then soared into the sky, exuding a legendary momentum all the way, and flew to the south. This was what Lin Ke had ordered before. The intention is to shock all the major forces along the way. It means that although Lin Ke, the backbone, is not in Dahuang and Azanan, and although AOF is dead, but Dahuang and Azanan still have a group of legendary Warcraft kings. It is a simple and crude display of muscle, but it is very effective. Those who can beat these legends will think of Wumian's existence and dare not take action. Those who can't beat them will not take action. As for some despicable tricks and villains, there are Marquis of Giant Sword, Count Akali and others, to help deal with them. It is foolproof. Lin Ke finally looked at the bottom of the abyss, as if through the endless darkness and thick light column. He saw His Majesty Wumian who suppressed the Nassan clan, and couldn't raise his head. Then he drove the People's Knights and other Gila nobles into the teleportation array. The People's Knights are lava lions, and the Black and White Knights are black and white war horses. The lava lions stepped with furry claws, and the black and white war horses stepped on the interlaced light and dark hooves, and disappeared one by one in the teleportation array. After that, Prince Xingqian gave a look to Xingqian and the starry fishmen of the ocean of waves, and they immediately rushed into the teleportation array, not wanting to stay any longer. In the end, only the Permafrost Council and the Holy Life Alliance were left. You saw it, the Black and White Knights. The one-horned ice crystal giant deer said indifferently to the Tauran chief. So what? I just need to not be the last one. The Tauran smiled, glanced at Prince Xingqian again, spat, and slipped in before Prince Xingqian got angry. The same was true for some other tribal chiefs of the Holy Life Alliance. It can also be seen from here that the tribes of the Holy Life Alliance are like a pile of loose sand. As for the far west countries, they flew into the teleportation array in small waves. When the last person on the scene flew into the teleportation array, Prince Xingqian immediately waved his hand, and the big screen in the sky suddenly changed. The light curtain was divided into hundreds of small grids, and the protagonists of each grid were Gila nobles or people from other forces. However, the picture in the grid is only a general picture, and it does not accurately tell what each person is doing. Countless people in the abyss quickly searched for the people they wanted to see on the big screen, and most of them focused their attention on Lin Ke. Count Lin Ke, what should he do? Above the sky by Yunshan Shenai in a world reborn from ruins. An era that is about to end. A group of prisoners fighting for power and wealth on the earth. A young man staring at the sky. The prisoners looked out from the window of fate. Most of them stared at the soil. Only one looked up at the stars. Chapter 269, Hibernation. The sky was torn apart. Endless colors were painted on the entire sky and the earth, reflecting the traces of the laws. On the crystal wall of the plane, an extremely large black hole expanded. Countless substances were sucked into it, and countless void substances were filled into this black hole. How dare you? Who dares to enter my domain? Bear my anger. rampant outsiders, become the nutrients of my kingdom. The kingdoms of God were attached to the crystal wall, just like blood-sucking pustules growing on it, constantly absorbing nutrients from the plane to grow. Gods of this plane. However, at this time, a terrifying breath came from the hole in the crystal wall of the plane, and a deep darkness and a brilliant white light came out from it. This breath suppressed everything, and the laws mastered by these gods were like ants to blue whales compared to this black and white. In an instant, these gods who had just been furious shrank back to their kingdoms of God like quails, motionless, as if they were dead. And at this time, the mortals suddenly discovered their prayers were ineffective. And soon after the crack in the crystal wall space appeared, an even more terrifying aura appeared in it. A bright red color appeared in the crack, turned into a large ball of light, and fell to the continent below. Faintly, terrifying roars and whispers came from it. Percent and amp, #x. The voice spread across the continent, and people with the language proficiency skill immediately heard the roar of that existence. I will lead the charge. Lead the charge. What does charge mean? Could it be those weak knights who can only be used as the magician's squire? Exclamation mark. This terrifying light fell vertically to the northwest of the continent, and all the creatures on the continent saw this red light. But that's not all. After this red light, there were another light. Some lights seemed like a ferocious ancient beast, some lights were like a solid piece of ice, and some lights turned into a deep ocean. This day was called Father's Darkness. This is the end of the Fast Continent, and also the twilight of the gods. A huge rocky desert with no grass growing. On one of the deserts, a red light like a meteorite fell here, stirring up a cloud of dust, and a mysterious magic circle appeared on the spot. Lin Ke raised his head and looked around. Is this the fast plane? He stood up and stretched his body. When he was teleported just now, it was the first time he had performed this kind of random teleportation. In his feeling, it was as if he turned into a meteorite and smashed down hard, and his body was a little sore. The fast plane was one of the planes that Emperor Wumian had captured, but he did not have the time to occupy and develop it, but threw it into his collection to collect dust. So the way Lin Ke and his team came in was to teleport randomly, and each team was randomly teleported. At this time, the place they teleported to seemed to be a place like the Gobi Desert, empty and flat, but there were no living creatures. Master, what should we do now? John came forward and asked in a low voice, and looked at the people behind him who were trying to adjust their breath. Let's go first. Go east. Lin Ke identified the direction and pointed to the east. According to some rules of the plane, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and water also flows from west to east under the action of force. Although these rules may not apply to every plane, physics does apply. According to the local environment, Lin Ke easily determined the east. Looking back, 50 black and white knights stood upright on the ground. Lin Ke's people's knights had just been repaired, and the other Gila nobles were directly staggering. The fat Earl Tulip was okay. He recovered in a moment, and then looked around curiously, but when he found that everything had nothing to do with plants, he was not interested. He came to Lin Ke and asked directly, Earl Lin Ke, how long will we leave? I'm ready to discover new plants. New plants. This is what Earl Tulip is interested in. Lin Ke naturally knew Earl Tulip's interests, but at this time he would not deal with plants. Survival is the most important thing. Yes, survival. To be precise, Lin Ke has to lie dormant. Don't look at him being so high profile outside, but in fact, he is just pretending to be powerful. They are afraid of the charge of the Black and White Knights, but not afraid of Lin Ke. The Black and White Knights helped him 3 times in total, and no one knows this. So, he planned to wait for the people of other forces to fight and consume, and he would quietly train the people's knights in a remote corner and train himself. This idea is known to all the people in the People's Knights. So Lin Ke directly said to other Gila nobles including Count Tulip, I plan to find a place, to build a fortress and a city, and start a tug-of-war. There will be collisions and frictions with this secondary plane, but this time the nobles' evaluation is not just a mindless fight. So, the nobles who are willing to build fortresses and cities with me can go with me, and others can do other things, if they want to do it. Lin Ke said loudly, and his voice was also transmitted through the reflection law of Prince Star, so that the people of Nasan could see it, causing waves of exclamation from Nasan. However, many people who knew Lin Ke thought about it again. Why is Count Lin Ke famous? Was it the war that Count Lin Ke participated in when he was a child? And that war directly gave birth to the Great Wall Fortress, which was rated as an epic building in Dahuang City. Now, when Count Lin Ke came to a place, he didn't want to capture it immediately, but to build a forward base, and then slowly encroach on this plain. What a big deal. Countless wise men were amazed and admired Lin Ke's idea. Of course, in fact, Lin Ke just wanted to lie dormant, but he didn't think so much. However, words can't be said like that. If he said that he was a coward and he couldn't beat the star level one-on-one, then the morale of the Gira kingdom and the human race that he had finally boosted might collapse in the next moment, and he would become a laughingstock. However, Lin Ke's plan this time was not purely for fighting. Training troops is one, and another important reason is to experiment with new ways of conquering planes. For example, trade. As long as a place is not closed to the outside world, it can rely on trade to open up the situation. In the past life, the trade of many large forces could completely determine the life and death of some small forces, especially those overlord level forces. The only way for Nasan to expand outward is basically invasion, occupation and continuous blood-sucking. The history of Nasan becoming the main plane is a history of war with blood and fire. Therefore, Lin Ke must take advantage of this opportunity to explore different paths. The more roads there are, the more choices Nasan will have in the future. I promised today that I would update, no matter what time it is, and I did it. My classmates were unblocked during the day and came out to eat, which took a lot of time, and they came back late at night. But I promised to update more, and I will do what I said, and I will not let you down for your monthly tickets and your expectations. I will be late from tomorrow. I feel like I'm going to die. Oh. Chapter 270 God War. Fortress. Count Tulip was stunned. Build a fortress? Yes. Lin Ke nodded. I want to build a fortress like the Great Wall, and then build a city in it to become our forward base. Forward base? Sure enough. Count Lin Ke has a big heart. It turns out that he wants to occupy the entire plane. To be honest, the plane of Phaser is similar to the main plane of Nasan in many places. At least Lin Ke knows that there must be gods in this plane, or the highest power level of most planes is gods. Generally speaking, even if a legend is strong, it is impossible for a legend to suppress the gods of a plane, not to mention the star level. Therefore, Lin Ke estimated that the people of other forces should not be so stupid as to directly confront the gods here. However, at this moment, a hideous and huge bullhead phantom appeared in the sky, howling to the sky, almost as big as the sun. This is the Minotaur chieftain. Directly fight? Looking at the huge bullhead phantom, Lin Ke was stunned. Moo. The bullhead raised his head to the sky, and a kingdom of God appeared in the sky, revealing a majestic humanoid creature. I'm the god of war Delogiaman. War was born because of me. The god of war of the farther plane. The star-level Minotaur chieftain raised his head fiercely, and a light yellow light burst out of his mouth, piercing through the air, and hitting the crystal wall of the god of war's kingdom. The god of war Delogiaman was shocked and angry. This was the first time in tens of thousands of years that someone had attacked the kingdom of God so rudely. But, feeling the power that was almost the same as his powerful divine power, he suddenly became more solemn. The spear of Delogiaman. The white-haired and white-bearded Delogiaman uttered a few words, and the divine power in the air gathered into a phantom several hundred meters high. A golden javelin condensed in his hand, and then he threw it fiercely. The golden javelin formed a golden rainbow light in the air, piercing through the beam of light spit out by the Minotaur chieftain and shot straight at the center of the Minotaur chieftain's eyebrows. You are worthy of being called a god of war? The Tauran chief laughed loudly and mocked in the common language of Nasan. The shadow in the air condensed and turned back to his original appearance. Once the title of God of War was born in Nasan, he might be slapped to death by the sleepless emperor. Who dares to say that he is good at fighting? Who dares to call himself a god? The Tauran chief stretched out his right hand and took out a big axe from his space ring, then raised his hand and swung it fiercely in the direction of the golden spear. Bang! The big axe and the golden spear collided with each other, and the terrifying sound waves resounded throughout the continent. Horror. Great horror. This is a war between gods. In the secondary plane, the laws of space and time are not as stable as those in the main plane, so the existence of the star level can cause powerful destructive effects at will. Insolent. Damn invaders. This is a heresy. This is a demon. Judgment. 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 In the sky, one kingdom of God after another emerged, followed by a human shadow. Although these intelligent beings look like humans, their hair is very long, as if it is their tail, growing out from the back of their heads, and they look extremely flexible. A flesh-colored version of the avatar, Lin Ke whispered as he looked at the phantoms. These humanoid creatures look a lot like the avatar. It's just that the avatar's skin is blue, and these are not. Count Lin Ke, are you coming too? Count Tulip looked at the Tauran chieftain in the sky far away, his fat face full of excitement. Do you want to kill a god to play with? Kill a god to play with? Lin Ke chewed on Count Tulip's words carefully. You know, Nasang's occupation of the secondary plane has always been described as plunder and scramble, rather than a battle of equal strength or a battle with both sides winning and losing. Therefore, the first time many Nasang forces come to the new plane is to challenge one or two of the strongest people in the plane, establish their authority, and overthrow the plane's faith. Next, either the entire plane is taken as the source of faith, such as the moon goddess and other gods, 99% of the faith power comes from the secondary plane, or the legends plunder resources, such as capturing gods, dissecting gods, and comprehending the divine nature, to study the laws of this secondary plane, and then achieve the effect of analogy and improve strength. Even many legends like to capture gods from the secondary plane, and then train them after catching them. Train them into the kind of faith gods that are completely infected by the power of faith, and lose their personality, and then use this faith god to manage the plane to achieve the effect of continuously harvesting plane resources. Discover, conquer, plunder. Therefore, at this time, the Tauran chieftain is not dormant as Lin Ke imagined, and then slowly develops. Instead, he directly challenges the war god of this plane, who has a powerful divine power. The powerful divine power is similar to that of a god of level 25 or 26. It's just that the god Yuan of the secondary plane is not as good as the main plane. So the war god of level 25 or 26 is only about the strength of the main plane of level 21 or 21. However, too many ants can kill an elephant. At this time, hundreds of star shadows appeared densely in the sky. The kingdom of God. This is the kingdom of God. This large plane already has hundreds of gods. Although the potential of this plane will be reduced by the existence of so many gods, it is enough to see the potential of this large plane. If a person like Nasang Andrew appeared, maybe the father plane would have become the main plane long ago. I'm the god of the sky, and all the stars are under my rule. Outlander, are you sure you want to challenge the majesty of father? At this moment, above the sun in the sky, a majestic and huge figure gradually emerged. This is a being with a left eye like the sun and a right eye like the moon. He opened his hands, as if the whole sky was trembling under his arms. Oh, Supreme God. Level 28, Overlord. The Tauran chieftain smacked his lips. TSK, what a pity, what a pity. The crystal wall of Phaser's plane has been connected to the main plane Nasang, which means that Phaser has been reduced to a secondary plane forever, and there is no chance to turn over. Outsiders, I will lead the stars to defeat your fate and shatter your existence. The eyes of the god of the sky radiate the light of the sun and the moon. With his body as the axis, the sky of Phaser presents two colors. One side is night, and the other side is day. Destiny? Existence? The Tauran chieftain laughed. You don't know what the stars are. You don't know what the starry sky is. You don't even dare to take a step outside the crystal wall. You have locked your plane forever at a low level. If you insist, then we are here to reclaim your fate and control your existence. Father, I'll continue to update tonight. There is a dinner party on May Day, and I have squeezed out time to type desperately. Everyone, I will continue to type more updates tonight. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel. Mundo fanfic novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 271, Hunting the Gods. Reap your fate. Reap your existence. Your existence is equivalent to straw. Your future has long been sealed by the Supreme. The voice of the Tauran chieftain mocking the Supreme God resounded throughout the entire Farsa plain. Ignorant mortal. Destroy him. Destroy him. He is the source of evil. Our glory cannot be desecrated. The gods of the Farsa plain were extremely angry, and a large number of laws responded to the anger of the gods, shaking and howling. However, some beings also showed a thoughtful look in their eyes, generally those with weak divine power and weak divine power. On the Farsa continent, countless believers knelt on the ground and prayed loudly to the stars in the sky. However, when those gods appeared, rays of light also appeared on the ground. Starlight means the radiance of stars. Although the starlight level existence is not as powerful as the stars such as legends and gods, it also has some legendary power. There are more than 500 Nasang starlights coming in this time. Ha ha ha, Sigurd? Your name and position are actually Sigurd? Ha ha ha. A rampant voice resounded throughout the plain, and a mermaid swung its tail and rushed into the sky. It was the mermaid from the Star Reef. The mermaid was surrounded by a deep blue current wrapped in starlight, and rushed directly into the sky, opened its mouth, revealing its sharp teeth, and bit into a certain kingdom of God. In that kingdom of God, there was a shark-like life form swimming in the void. It was provoked by the Star Reef merman, and rushed out of the kingdom of God in anger. You are stealing my authority, weak reptile. Authority? I'm dying of laughter. The Star Reef merman shouted, come on. So many laws. Great tonic. So, swish, swish, swish. One after another, phantoms of various colors rushed up. The various star level creatures that came from Nasang were like maggots that smelled rotten meat. They rushed around in a swarm and then lay on the kingdoms of various gods, biting and devouring them. The kingdoms of gods are great tonics. Ha ha ha. God of slaughter? A hyena? The rules of fire are too profound. You are not suitable. Give it to me. So cool. Such a full and complete god of frost. So delicious. The locusts of Nasang seemed to have not eaten for a million years, and they frantically bit and devoured the kingdoms of God that the gods had built with their own foundations. The gods of Nasang, the kingdom of God has long been integrated with the godhood, and there are countless petitioners under their command. It is difficult for hostile people to find the important petitioner planes among them. Various traps, mazes, and strong walls. The kingdoms of God of the gods of Nasang are armed, just like a lightning hedgehog, making it impossible for the enemies of those gods to start. However, the gods here, they have been in high positions for too long, so that their kingdoms of God are exposed on the crystal wall of the plain, like they are defenseless, just like using a powerful blower to disperse the smell of aged fine wine. Can these drunkards from Nasang who have not eaten gods for many years bear it? On the ground, Earl Link. Earl Tulip stared at him and shouted anxiously, that's a god. God, what a precious thing. Go and catch them all. Not only Earl Tulip, but other Gila nobles also gathered here and looked at Link eagerly, of course, except for the Black and White Knights. These Black and White Knights didn't even bother to pay attention to Link. Even Lin Ke ignored them. Their duty is to help Link 3 times. After 3 times, they are just like wood and will no longer help Link. Catch them? Are you responsible for those stars? Lin Ke looked at Earl Tulip helplessly. A large plane, no matter how bad it is, can't be dealt with by the stars. Orf had taught him a lot of knowledge, one of which was not to underestimate any plane with intelligent life. As a large plane, Lin Ke didn't believe that the farther plane would be occupied by the scattered stars without legends. Mortal. The originally indifferent and majestic voice of the god of the sky seemed angry. In the perception of the gods, these terrifying visitors from outside the domain seemed to have little divine power, so they were naturally defined as mortals. At this time, the god of the sky was like a beggar. Originally, he covered the sky and the sun, and the entire sky was divided into 2 sides by him, with the night on the left and the day on the right. His eyes were the sun and the moon, and the sky was like clothes. However, at this time, the stars dotted on the clothes were full of worms, just like holes in the clothes. After the Minotaur chief suddenly attacked the god of war, many people had not reacted yet, and the group of stars were lying outside the crystal walls of many gods and feasting. Therefore, the god of the sky did not expect that these mysterious creatures from outside the domain were so terrifying. The sky is my domain. The majestic and magnificent voice of the god of the sky resounded throughout the plain and reached every corner. Countless intelligent lives suddenly exploded and died, turning into soul light points that gathered in the eyes of the god of the sky. Then the sun and moon eyes of the sky god shone brightly, and the rays of light were accurately aimed at every Nasan who was lying on the kingdom of God and eating life. Exterminate. The huge face condensed by the sky god's divine power uttered a few words in facile language. The rays of light shot out directly at an extremely fast speed. In an instant, 7 or 8 starlight level creatures were pierced through their bodies. Seeing this, the other starlight level creatures immediately broke away from their prey and quickly retreated to the ground. Damn it. Why is there such a nasty light here? This is the ultimate light. No, it's just light. It scared me to death. Andrew's leg. This is the real strength of level 25. This sky god. Hey, Count Link of Gila, that's white light. Can you tolerate people who offend the sleepless emperor? People from every faction gathered together again, and then resisted that light, and some people shouted to Link. You know, it's a live broadcast now. People outside are watching. Lin Ke narrowed his eyes, chuckled and said loudly, the dignity of Emperor Wumian has always been earned through fighting. Want to provoke him to fight against the god of sky? He is not that stupid. What's the point of catching these gods now at the risk of being seriously injured by the god of sky? He doesn't have the spare energy to suppress so many gods, even if they are just castrated versions of the secondary plane. However, after the god of sky killed some starlight level gods at this time, he found that those starlight level gods had their own life-saving skills and could not be completely killed. At most, one was seriously injured. At this time, the god of sky looked at where Lin Ke was. The god of sky thought of the invasion of Phaser at that time, and it seemed that the most powerful existence was in this area. That red power similar to lava. Capture the king first. There has always been a similar ancient saying in the Phaser plane. So, the god of sky harvested the power of faith of a wave of believers again, and then aimed at the direction of Lin Ke and them. Life, extinction. I can't stand it anymore. I'm going to sleep. Everyone, the next chapter is a repost of chapter 276. Don't subscribe. Because it has been blocked, I can only repost it. Chapter 272. Both sides suffer. Cultivation and development. Hit me? Lin Ke raised his eyebrows. Did the sky god eat too much? They were staying here peacefully. Why did he suddenly attack them? However, the situation was urgent, and Lin Ke and the People's Knights could not deal with a blow equivalent to that of Nasan's 25th level existence. So Lin Ke quickly looked at the black and white knights and hammered his chest. Everyone, help me. Click. The 50 black and white knights all looked up at Lin Ke and then nodded in unison again, like robots. Lin Ke turned over and rode on the lava lion and activated his skills. Skill, air pressure. Skill, 0 degree. Skill, overheat. As soon as the 3 skills came out, heat immediately rose from Lin Ke's body, and the lion he sat on also burst into flames. At the same time, he opened his right hand, and a wrist ball fell into his hand. This was his first time fighting with a wrist ball. Eing. The spirit in the wrist ball groaned comfortably, and the ball inside suddenly rotated, bursting out with lightning and flames. Boom. Lightning flashed from Lin Ke's eyes, and lightning seemed to burn on his body, and it was as if he was holding a ball of violent lightning in his hands. At this time, the People's Knights burst out with powerful power at the same time, and the red flames burned in an instant. At the same time, the 50 black and white knights also joined the People's Knights. Bang! A wisp of black and white joined the flaming lava, and blended perfectly into it. John closed his eyes and played his hands quickly, as if playing a piano, connecting everyone in the People's Knights, and even connecting the black and white knights. John's face was surprised, but he didn't say anything, just coordinated his strength again. Yell, Falcon. When Lin Ke opened his mouth, there was a faint sound of lightning in his throat. Falcon Star Array. Chess player. Yale raised his right hand and pointed in the direction of Lin Ke as if he was dropping a chess piece. But suddenly, all the power gathered on Lin Ke, and Lin Ke's breath rose step by step. In this, there was a ray of brilliant white light and a ray of extreme darkness. That was the power of the black and white knights. Lin Ke and his team were very fast, and only a few seconds had passed before the white light in the sky arrived. Use thunder to smash the darkness. Lin Ke held the wrist force ball in his hand, and his voice was like a huge bell, rolling and spreading. Use thunder to smash the darkness! Exclamation mark. Such a domineering word. The Nathan people watched the live broadcast outside of Phaser and heard such a declaration for the first time. It attracted countless fans in an instant. But in the Phaser plane, the gods felt the overwhelming fear. The light of the supreme god in the sky was actually regarded as darkness by that existence! Exclamation mark. The gods only saw that when other terrifying beings from outside the domain fell. A being wrapped in the breath of lava rushed from the Gobi desert in the far west with thunder in his hand and riding a lion. Bang! With just one strike, this being holding thunder and covered in lava broke the attack of the god of sky and then absorbed the shattered light into his body. The being opened his arms, as if embracing the sky, and endless light spots were sucked into it. Skill, 0 degree. Then, a wave of waves that reached the sky swept up, boiling and blazing. Skill, overheat. This being not only took the attack of the god of sky without any damage, but also fought back! Exclamation mark. The scorching wave bombarded over, and the god of sky was furious, emitting a terrifying light it fought at. Bang! The two attacks collided with each other. So simple, so direct, so rough. But this is the most direct confrontation of laws and energy. However, some gods were shocked to find that in this most primitive confrontation, their supreme gods were actually at a disadvantage! Exclamation mark. The god of sky also discovered this, and was shocked, and angry in his heart, and his face on the surface also darkened. The source of the power of faith is stable but also fragile. If countless believers see what he looks like, his power of faith will drop dramatically. Destroy. Must destroy. The god of the sky immediately shook the surrounding laws, and laws appeared from the plain void. A crystal scepter appeared in his hand, and the bottom of the scepter swung fiercely at the terrifying heat shot by Lin Ke, directly dispersing the heat. When he was about to attack again, Lin Ke's voice came over. We come with friendship, unlike them. Lin Ke's voice was mighty, and reached the ears of the gods of Phaser. Come with friendship? Exclamation mark. As soon as they came, they almost gnawed Dark Kingdom of God. What the hell is friendship? The gods only felt that speechless, an emotion that they had abandoned when they were mortals, appeared in their hearts again. How shameless. But when Lin Ke said the next sentence, the gods suddenly realized again. These invaders are not from the same force. But at this moment, Lin Ke shook hands with the people of the Holy Life Alliance thousands of kilometers away. Skill, air pressure. Suddenly, a group of people were covered by his air pressure shield. Ratman and Wild Boarman. 20 Wild Boarman and Ratman were directly trapped and oppressed by Lin Ke's powerful air pressure shield, and then they rushed towards this side at a high speed, like a meteor. Lin Ke, what are you doing? The Tauran chieftain roared with his eyes wide open, and then he remembered that he seemed to have only confirmed the alliance with the Bard Buck, but had not yet informed Lin Ke about the contract. However, he had tacitly agreed that Lin Ke was his ally. This led to him thinking that Lin Ke was an ally, but Lin Ke didn't think so. But how could he speak now? The Prince of Stars was broadcasting on the big screen outside, under the attention of everyone. If he said it, he might be spurned by the people of the Holy Life Alliance. After he went out, the Tauran chieftain suddenly felt anxious. While he was anxious, the Ratman and Wild Boarman had already come to Lin Ke's side. The high-speed flight made them unable to move at all, and they flew dizzy. Speak. Lin Ke waved his hand gently, with lava still gushing out of his body, and the thunder wrist ball in his right hand still spurting out plasma. He looked at the person in front of him indifferently and said, "Who killed my teacher?" In the secondary plane, skills are easier to cause greater power, not to mention that Lin Ke is now even more powerful with the support of the Black and White Knights. The wild boars and rats in front of him recovered from the high-speed flight and looked at each other. Count Lin Ke, what are you doing? I am. Arapman let out a shriek, and just as he was about to reveal his identity, his head was directly cut by the air pressure blade and soared into the sky. You speak. Lin Ke looked at the next Ratman. The Ratman's eyes flashed with fear, and the skills in his body were about to be released in the next moment. Puff. The second head soared into the sky. Chapter 273 Friendly Exchange. Puff. After killing more than a dozen, there were only 2-star level ones left. Lin Ke narrowed his eyes. You guys don't say anything either? He killed them one by one, and almost all the strong men from the Ratman and Wild Boarman were killed by him. Now, there are only 2-star level ones left, and his power is still abundant, which is mainly due to the strength of the Black and White Knights. It can be imagined that, if the entire Black and White Knights plus the Sleepless Emperor, the power of the charge will be amazing. Count Lin Ke, I really don't know. The star level Wild Boarman professional opened his fanged mouth and wailed in pain. We have long since stopped using the shaman profession. Oh. Then tell me, which tribes are using it? Lin Ke smiled. In the previous few, almost everyone chose to be loyal to the tribe at this step, but this one seemed. The Wild Boarman's facial expression changed unpredictably, as if he wanted to say something. However, at this moment, his face suddenly became painful, and his body revealed strands of orange-yellow light from the inside to the outside, and then exploded directly within a second. Bang! Not only him, but also the Ratman next to him, turned into a bloody rain in an instant, leaving a trace of divinity in the air. The power of the sun god. Lin Ke narrowed his eyes, waved to accept the divinity, and then looked at the sky god in the sky. So, Your Excellency the sky god, I came here just for friendly exchanges, and I have no intention of provoking a war. Friendly exchanges. The gods looked at the teammates who were torn apart by Lin Ke's hands, and there was a silence. Opening a big hole in someone's roof, and falling from the sky, lying on someone and sucking blood. In front of someone, tearing his teammates apart with his hands. Does this foreigner call this a friendly exchange? Is there something wrong with our language proficiency? The gods doubted themselves a little, but they also saw that this red powerhouse was not the same as the others. But we are not afraid of war. Lin Ke's voice was firm and grand. Tooth for tooth, blood for blood. If we are provoked and hurt, I will definitely lead the charge. As soon as these words came out, they spread throughout the world. Countless people were shocked. After saying this, Lin Ke landed, ignoring what the gods thought, and his breath weakened to the level of ordinary people. At this time, many of the gods of Phaser had fallen into a deep sleep to repair the damage they had received. The same was true for the existence of the Tauran chieftain. In the brief contact just now, both sides suffered huge losses. The god of the sky looked in the direction of Lin Ke, pondered for a few seconds, and then waved his hand and snorted coldly. Outsiders, if you hurt the believers of my world, I will definitely not give up. As he said, the appearance of the god of the sky gradually disappeared from the sky, and the kingdoms of other gods were the same. The god of the sky gave in. On the ground, Lin Ke smiled. This god of the sky is very smart. At the moment, there was no way to deal with them, and he showed a look of surrender and desperation, but in fact he might have been thinking about countermeasures. After this battle, many mortals in Phaser are estimated to believe in their gods more devoutly. After all, the god of the sky said, believers must not be harmed. This group of foreign visitors is so terrifying that they even bite their gods directly. If they go out on the street, they will hug them and bite them directly, right? But as long as you become a believer of the gods, you will not be hurt, so what are you waiting for? Therefore, the god of the sky said such words. Of course, Lin Ke guessed the god of the sky's thoughts, and the other Nasan people also guessed it. But they all had injuries of varying sizes at this time, and in order to avoid the god of the sky from getting angry, they did not do anything radical, but fell silent again. After all, in addition to gods and laws, there are still many resources to be mined in a plane, and they just took this opportunity to explore them well. And at this moment, a voice reached their ears. The live broadcast time of the big screen has been changed to daytime, and there will be no live broadcast from 7 PM to 6 AM. This is a voice of the Sleepless Emperor. Lin Ke also heard it. Does it mean that there are actually many things to do every night in the future? Lin Ke nodded slightly. But he came mainly to train his troops, and now he has to find an opportunity. Secondarily, he needs to explore whether there are other ways of getting along between planes and races. Is it necessary to invade the plane like today with locusts entering? Or can we exchange materials and interests through trade? A person's house is full of coriander, but he is a loyal fan of green onions. A person's house is full of chives, but he is a loyal fan of coriander. They can choose to fight each other to get what they want. You can also choose to trade and exchange, but there must be a certain degree of mutual trust. In short, the general meaning is that Lin Ke wants to find an opportunity to see if it is feasible. If it is feasible, many intelligent creatures do not need to be made into slaves, but can be directly thrown here to work, and several industries can be built here to continuously squeeze. This is the capital of the previous life. Use your subjective initiative and desire for material life to drive you to become a qualified leak. Lin Ke is experimenting with such a path. If you can trade with the phaser people in a friendly and kind manner, it is just right to dump all kinds of goods in the wilderness. Unlike the gradual silence of phaser, Nasan is boiling. Prince Xingqian's live broadcast already made the people of the Abyss very interested. Coupled with the live broadcast of the Great Wasteland City, many places with live broadcasts in Nasan were crowded with people. Our Earl Lin Ke is worthy of being the Earl Lin Ke. Yes, yes. This is called a noble. Those other alien races are scary to look at. Ah, yes, yes. Lying in other people's homes, and gnawing and biting. The people talked about it, but the live broadcast was not broadcast all day. Prince Xingqian's voice was also heard, letting people know that the live broadcast was only turned on during the day. At this time, at the bottom of the abyss, I'm going to find the sun and the mouse to practice. The sleepless emperor gently bent his fingers, and bursts of sonic boom sounded in the air. Dare to touch Aofu, you are tired of living. Don't go too far. After all, they are all masters. The five-colored dragon mother warned. Drag him to the void to fight, and help me slap him a few times. Okay. The sleepless emperor smiled, and then disappeared with a few steps, leaving only a group of princes and princesses, the five-colored dragon mother and the moon goddess. Not long after, the princes and princesses left one by one, leaving only the five-colored dragon mother and the moon goddess. At this time, the five-colored dragon mother spoke to the moon goddess. Moon, you still don't want to let it go? After all, it was done by our ancestor Azanan, and it has nothing to do with Geros and the others. Chapter 274 Secret Meeting. The Plane of Phaser. 2 days later, Lin Ke and his team finally found a city. In the end, the nobles of Gila all respected Lin Ke. They had thought about making a big splash in the noble review. After all, the upper nobles of Gila were limited, and did not change much. Instead, the lower nobles changed more, which was also an opportunity for these small nobles to shine, such as Geros. However, this time, the stars gathered together and there were countless epics. They, the low-level professionals, could only cling to Lin Ke's thighs. Looking at the city in the distance, that seemed to be made of mud, Lin Ke used the eagle eye technique to look far away, and found that the city was not big, and there was no strong aura in it. Let's camp here. Lin Ke raised his hand to stop everyone. After turning over and getting off the lava lion, Lin Ke came to everyone and asked, is there an architect? It stands to reason that many of the nobles are architects, horticulturists, and the like. However, these people are small nobles, and generally speaking, there should be more warriors. I am the Honorable Mr. Lin Ke. A young man with white hair and powdered face raised his hand, walked forward with admiration, stood in front of Lin Ke, and pounded his chest. Sir, what is your situation? Lin Ke was not self-righteous, and pounded his chest. Sir, I'm Melbourne, an 8th level, desert walker, and also a 5th level, architect, from the Constant family. Melbourne first briefly explained the situation, and then said a little embarrassedly, if you want to build a fortress, it may take a long time. Constant family, descendants of the desert Marquis. Lin Ke raised his eyebrows. No need to build a fortress, we need to find a suitable location first. Generally speaking, a Marquis family must have many cities and villages to distribute to their descendants, unless he has too many descendants and too few territories. Some Marquesses will even give secondary planes to their favorite descendants. But as far as he knows, the desert Marquis only has 3 children. How could he let one go? Okay. Melbourne nodded to Lin Ke, quite excited, and then naturally stood behind Lin Ke. John, arrange for the secret scribe to build a large maze lock to prevent snooping. Lin Ke is more comfortable with his own people. Secret scribe is a part-time choice for many nobles, and the maze lock is something similar to the maze and trapping array in his previous life. Lin Ke, take the gardener to sow seeds and monitor the surroundings. Yale, pay attention to the defense of the camp layout. Sophie, Rami, compose some of our poems and songs and spread them out. Lin Ke gave orders one by one, first settled the camp affairs, and then looked at Melbourne next to him. Let's go, let's go. Then he said to Garros, father, this is up to you. Don't worry. Garros patted Lin Ke on the shoulder, be careful. Okay. Lin Ke immediately called Xiao Xinguan, left the glory lion in the camp, and then looked at Melbourne who was following behind him. You are a desert walker, can you keep up? Walker professions have their own merits, but the common feature is running fast. No problem. Melbourne was eager to try, and seemed to want to show off, especially when he thought about the live broadcast. Then let's go. Lin Ke patted Xiao Xinguan under his seat. Cry. Xiao Xinguan let out a clear whistle, and a blazing fire ignited on his body. He soared up, and looked at Melbourne provocatively. However, it did not fly too high, but flew at a low altitude. Phoenix. Melbourne has always known that Lin Ke has a pet, which is a phoenix. The noble phoenix bloodline, the same clan and origin as the sun god, has become the pet of Count Lin Ke, which is so admirable. But, provoke him? Provoke him as a walker? Cry. Xiao Xinguan flapped his wings and rushed forward. It is now level 13, Phoenix, and Thunder Seagull, and has never lost in terms of speed. Seeing this, Melbourne immediately raised energy, and his body seemed to turn into a gust of wind in an instant, blowing forward. Skill, sprint. As he moved forward, the more sand he raised, the faster he would go. Melbourne, pay attention to the terrain. It needs to be close to the city and be able to accommodate about 100,000 people. The geology needs to be suitable for excavation and able to bear weight. Lin Ke did not seem to care about Melbourne's speed during this process. Instead, he emphasized some important matters. Melbourne originally admired Lin Ke, and now he listened carefully. After listening, he realized that Lin Ke had so much experience in architecture. Architecture is not something that can be built by just taking some soil and some stones. It is necessary to pay attention to various problems such as the load-bearing capacity, collapse, and moisture of the land itself. Even the most powerful architects have to consider these issues, but the powerful can change the geology and the texture of the material itself. No problem. Melbourne agreed. So, Melbourne, who was originally going to race with the Phoenix, also began to pay attention to the surrounding environment. After doing two things at the same time, he gradually became exhausted after a few dozen kilometers. But he gritted his teeth and said nothing. After a while, they came to a small forest. Lin Ke said, let's take a rest here. Melbourne was surprised. I'm not tired yet. I'm fine. Lin Ke glanced at him and said, I'm tired. How could Lin Ke, who was riding the Phoenix, be tired? Melbourne was even more surprised, but he understood in an instant. Count Lin Ke was understanding him and taking care of his self-esteem. Count Lin Ke, I didn't ask. Melbourne was grateful and wanted to say something. You wait for me here, but Lin Ke raised his hand to stop him and stood up. I'll go check it out. You wait for me here. As he said that, Lin Ke stretched out his hand and took out a scepter made of red metal from the space ring. Wand of Annihilation. The Wand of Annihilation also contained 2 full strength attacks of the master, but it itself was not a legendary item, so it could be brought in unimpeded. Holding the Wand of Annihilation, Lin Ke walked into the forest ahead, leaving Melbourne, who was confused, and Xiao Xinguan, who was combing his feathers. As he walked, layers of darkness surrounded Lin Ke, as if to swallow him. He did nothing, not even taking any protective measures, but just walked slowly like a mortal, with a calm face and natural steps. Gradually, the darkness around him became more and more, licking his skin, as if it would break into his body in the next moment. Lin Ke stood still instantly, with a disdainful smile on his lips, and snorted coldly, have you had enough trouble? At the same time, He gently touched the breath in the scepter, and a huge water pressure like the bottom of the deep sea filled the air. You are the supreme god. Suddenly, there was a cry from the front. Chapter 275. General course on becoming a god at the first primary school in the great wilderness. Weak being, don't underestimate the opportunity I give you. Lin Ke gently closed his eyes, crossed his arms, stood still, and sneered with disdain at the corner of his mouth. I'll give you 5 seconds to explain your purpose clearly. From the outside, Lin Ke looked like an extremely powerful being who was looking down on a tiny person. At this time, a man's figure condensed in front of Lin Ke, who was the god of the sky before. The god of the sky was a middle-aged man with a calm face, and the hair behind his head was waving gently like tentacles. And the people in Nasan also found that they could not see Lin Ke after he entered the woods. This proved that there was a dominant existence that blocked the perception of the Star Prince. Tiny? Humble? Weren't you a mortal before? The god of the sky frowned and looked at Lin Ke in front of him, and it was a little hard to believe. Why is there a breath of divine power? Mortal? God? Lin Ke opened his eyes and said in a flat voice, do you really understand this world? As he said that, Lin Ke threw out a book from the space ring, which was made of Azan plant fiber paper. General course on becoming a god in the first primary school of the great wilderness. Lin Ke threw the book lightly, and the sky god over there caught it doubtfully, used a language proficiency spell, and then began to read. However, as time passed, the sky god's expression became more and more solemn, and he even panicked in the end. This is a book that teaches people how to become gods. Blasphemy, insult, heresy, evil. This is a huge crisis. How can you tell despicable mortals how to become gods? Even if there are 1 or 2 lucky people, that is also the luck given by him, the sky god. Gods have always been high and mighty. Gods have always been incomparably noble. Gods have always stepped on all living things. How dare such an evil thing be born in this world? And it seems to be a book for newborns. The sky god wanted to destroy the fragile book in his hand immediately, but he thought that, since the person in front of him dared to take it out, he must not be afraid of being destroyed. Instead, he thought of something more terrifying. How terrifying is the world where this supreme god in front of him lives? Who are you? The voice of the sky god was extremely solemn, and he even used the power of the law, which was rare. He was cautious and a little afraid. After thousands of years, the sky god felt afraid again. Yes, he was afraid. He was afraid that there was more than one supreme god on the other side. Although he subconsciously felt that it was impossible. After all, the existence of gods itself was the essence of the plane. At least he felt so. However, he had briefly come into contact with the plane outside of Fasa. There are many planes outside. He even encountered beings more powerful than him. This was also the reason why he ran back and hid, for fear of being found by those powerful people. Unexpectedly, he came today. He thought he was at the top. But he was also at the top. If he was like an eggshell, there would be an ostrich eggshell as hard as an ostrich eggshell, and even a dragon egg. They are all eggshells in essence, but there are great differences in essence. Don't panic. This is something from our plane. Lin Ke chuckled. We came here just to play a game. There are more than one existence that can easily kill you and me, and is watching this game. This is a game. The sky god pursed his lips tightly, but there was no expression on his face, only a deep calmness like a pond, but his voice still betrayed him. You said it was a game. Yes. Lin Ke nodded. For that kind of existence, it is indeed just a game, but for others, they play this game more violently, and I'm more friendly. The sky god did not speak, but stared at Lin Ke quietly. The long years did not make him grow old like a mortal, but instead allowed him to carefully comprehend the laws. It may take hundreds of years to comprehend the laws once. However, he is not a fool. If a person says he is friendly, is he definitely friendly? But how do you want to cooperate? The sky god said in a deep voice. In fact, today's meeting was accidental and inevitable. Lin Ke guessed that the sky god would spy on all of them, so he ran out alone. Sure enough, it didn't take long for him to meet the sky god. As the most outstanding and slightly friendly messenger at the time, Lin Ke also guessed that the sky god would meet him, and sure enough, I will build a city here and start trade activities. Lin Ke whispered, in this game, there are only a few conditions for winning, such as conquest, occupation, domination, or obtaining resources. Lin Ke talked about trade, and all his words were basically true, such as he really wanted to obtain resources through trade, not the exchange of lives. However, the exchange of resources through trade may eventually achieve an effect comparable to or even exceeding political power. It's just trade. The Sky God instinctively felt that Lin Ke's purpose was not simple, but he could not refute or doubt it. Because his divinity and laws were telling him that the foreign visitors in front of him were not lying, they just wanted to trade. Thinking of those foreign gods, they looked like ordinary people on the outside, but they were extremely cruel and ate directly at the kingdom of God. Thinking of that scene, thinking that Lin Ke did not seem to participate in that kind of activity at the time, he also believed Lin Ke in his heart. If it's just building a city, it's up to you. The Sky God's expression remained unchanged, but don't hurt the believers. As a fellow god, you should know that. As a fellow god. Lin Ke smiled and said, besides that, what else do you have to do? What is your priesthood? The Sky God's expression remained unchanged, but his voice was somewhat expectant. Can you use the laws when you go to a new plane? Laws? Lin Ke immediately knew that the Sky God had discovered other planes in the heavenly star realm. But he probably didn't dare to enter casually, for fear that he would not be able to sense the laws after entering. Cowardly. My priesthood is similar to the power of the deep sea. Lin Ke didn't mind chatting with the Sky God and getting more information. The Sky God's eyes changed. Communication. This is one of the ways that intelligent creatures learn. As the supreme god of father, the Sky God is second to none. But it also leads to the loneliness of being at the top. Now, the Sky God has encountered an existence of the same level, or even a stronger existence. At least that's how he sees Lin Ke. His level has not changed for thousands of years. After some communication, maybe it can help him to advance a little. At least Lin Ke is friendly. Lin Ke said indifferently, we are not suitable. I decided not to save drafts in the future. I will post one chapter at a time. I will post as many as I can. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.